everyone, and thank you very much for joining us back here at the Plenary Stage. I am Jack Parinya Runprapan, and we are going to continue this afternoon GC Sustainable Living Symposium 2023. We're very happy to have some distinguished guests and a wider audience here at Royal Paragon Hall here in Bangkok, Thailand, as well as those of you tuning in through the GC YouTube live stream. We firmly believe that everyone here carries the heart of Generation S for Generation Sustainability, and we all have the power to make this world better together. So we all know that sustainability is the only way forward for our planet. ยินดีต้อนรับทุกท่านนะครับที่จะเข้ามาเซสชั่นตอนช่วงบ่ายนะครับที่จะมีการสนทนากันในเรื่อง climate actions creating a sustainable world today for tomorrow นะครับ after the morning sessions we saw the global trends and collaborative efforts of global companies in urgently addressing and building momentum for sustainable living. Now, building cooperation for a better world with solutions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions towards the net zero goal is essential, and we require collaboration from the government, private sector, and society. So under the theme Climate Action, Creating a Sustainable World Today for Tomorrow, the afternoon's program today includes 3 sessions. First, we'll have Act Now, achievements and practices by organizations to decrease greenhouse gases and move forward to net zero. Act Now คือการลงมือทำขององค์กรหน่วยงานเพื่อลดก๊าซกระจกเรือนและก้าวสู่ net zero นะครับ The next session after that would be Accelerate Now, or the tools and mechanisms which will speed up the drive to actualize net zero เครื่องมือหรือกลไกในการเร่งขับเคลื่อน net zero ให้เกิดขึ้นได้นะครับ and then finally we'll have the Change Now session, which is the actions needed to achieve net zero แค่เริ่มเปลี่ยนก็สามารถร่วมขับเคลื่อนการบรรลุเป้าหมาย net zero ได้นะครับ So I will be conducting the program which follows in English เดี๋ยวต่อไปรายการนี้จะดำเนินเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะครับแต่เดี๋ยวผมจะมีการสรุปสั้นๆหลังจากวิทยากรแต่ละท่านพูดเดี๋ยวผมจะสรุปเป็นภาษาไทยด้วยนะครับ So the first session is Act Now, and we have prepared headsets for Thai language segments which are available at the front of the meeting room. เรามีหูฟังสำหรับล่ามนะครับถ้าอยากจะฟังเป็นภาษาไทยที่จะแปลแบบสดนะครับยินดีที่จะให้รับตรงหน้าห้องนะครับเป็น headset สำหรับแปลภาษาไทยเป็นภาษาอังกฤษเป็นภาษาไทยด้วยนะครับ We would like to invite the following speakers to join our panel discussion and share their knowledge and experience here in the Act Now session, and leading organizational initiatives, achievements, as well as practices to reduce greenhouse gas emissions moving forward to the net zero goal. May I invite Mr. Ashish Joshi, Chief Executive Officer, Suntory PepsiCo Beverage Thailand. Welcome to all of our executives who are joining us today. I'd like to start by saying that we all understand the urgency of addressing the current global issue of climate change and the need to start collectively reducing our global greenhouse gas emissions and pursue the efforts to try to limit the temperature, global temperature increase, which is going past 1.5 degrees Celsius per the Paris Agreement, which was a consensus that was tried to reach globally. And this challenging goal has led to significant transformation in the private sector, and which we see we must reduce greenhouse gas emissions to achieve these net zero goals. Today, we want to learn from all of you in your various sectors what you are doing for this. And well, can I start with you, Mr. Ashish? This question for all of you. How has your organization set goals and action plans for reducing greenhouse gas emissions?
So at Suntory PepsiCo, we are basically a beverage manufacturer. And for us, obviously, there are some key components to our product, which the consumer buys from us. The most important component, of course, is water, because all beverages are made from water. The second one is packaging, and mostly PET packaging. And of course, all this ends up in producing greenhouse gases. So we have basically three broad themes in terms of our focus. We focus on water, we focus on PET, plastics, as well as greenhouse gas reduction. And we have specific KPIs on each of these three. So I will walk you through some of the KPIs that we have on each of these. If you can see the next slide, please. Yeah, so on water, we measure water in terms of how much water goes into making the beverage versus how much beverage is produced. So the ratio is what we call it the liter per liter ratio. So we are targeting a 1.4 liter of water for 1 liter of beverage ratio in our products. In fact, this is supposed to be the best in class standard for beverage manufacturers. Remember, water is used not just to make the beverage, but even to do things like cleaning in the plant. So therefore, we are aiming towards reducing that towards a 1.4 liter per liter. The second one is plastics. So one important thing is to ensure that all our packaging material is recyclable, that there's no material being used which cannot be recycled by itself. The second is to start introducing recycled PET, which is quite a big thing globally, but has only started in Thailand this year. And we are targeting to reach 15% by 2025 and 60% by 2030. Now, related to this, related to the plastics, and as well as our other efforts on greenhouse gas emission, we have very clear goals which have been set out by our parent companies, PepsiCo and Suntory, towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So while we have a 2050 net zero emission like many other companies, but we are also looking at a 2030 goal of bringing it down by 30% versus a baseline in 2019. So these are some of the goals that we have set for ourselves in the area of sustainability.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we can see is that มีเป้าหมายที่ชัดเจนนะครับในการที่จะลดก๊าซ greenhouse gas นะครับก็ตอนนี้มี3อย่างที่จะโฟกัสก็คือเรื่องของตัวเครื่องดื่มเองที่การผลิตนะครับแล้วก็มีเรื่องของ packaging นะครับก็คือผลิตภัณฑ์ของพวกขวดนะครับแล้วก็จะมีเรื่อง greenhouse gas ในการผลิตด้วย
greenhouse gas in the production. So those are the targets. Now, as for reduction of plastic use or use recyclable plastic, so it's going to be 15%, 25, and 60% in the year 2030. Now, as for the greenhouse gas, so in the year, the 2019 is our benchmark. So we try to achieve net zero in 2050.
How your organization sets goals and action plans to reduce your greenhouse gas emissions.
Okay, I am from AIS, and thank you so much for our partner to invite us on the stage today. And as what you see, our core business is the telecommunication. So our action on the climate is actually, we are looking at, end to end from the supplier up to our operation and also the downstream customer. The reason being that I also mentioned about customer because AIS as the country's leading telecommunication, so we have our customer is more than 45 million subscribers, throughout the country. So that is why, our action to engage with the customer is also very critical. So for AIS, let me start with the upstream supplier throughout our value chain. We have what we call is the green procurement. So meaning that, when we are looking or talking, engaging with our supplier, we would, using the ESG assessment, talking with them. And also in terms of our operation, many of you and also, my friend speaker, we also have a little chat before we come up. People might have a question in terms of the telecommunication industry. What is it for the green action? So I want to visualize for you to see more clearly. So from our operation, this is what we are meaning. Firstly, as a telecommunication business, so you can imagine that we have more than 40,000 base stations throughout the country, and those base stations also using the electricity. And as of now, AIS has transformed some of the base station to use the solar panel. So as of now, our journey is nearly 10,000 base station throughout the country as of now that using the solar panel. So this is one example for you to see clearly. And another thing is that we are using the AI to manage the consumer or the customer usage of our signal and or service. So by doing that, we can predict and we know exactly which time or which area of the country or of our service is consumer is using very condensed, high condensed service. So we can manage on that, which is that one is also linked to the energy usage. And another thing is that for the waste operation, many of you in this room, I believe that you have heard about our consumer campaign, what we call คนไทยไร้ e-waste, or in English is Thais say no to e-waste. So the e-waste in the meaning is that the device or the mobile or those things. But however, in terms of our operation, that is the base station, we also have the scheme to manage the waste. And then we have the standard to manage those waste from the base station, which is, all the cable, all those things, which is huge. So we also have the standard to manage it at a level of a zero to landfill. So this is what we are meaning that, we are focused on the process in our operation. And another thing is that I want to highlight in here is that in terms of the customer, we also have the application, what we call My AIS application. So as of today, there are more than 10 million customers who are active users. So using this application, that is meaning that, all the billing, it has transformed to be the e-bill and everything. So this in term, indirectly, we also helping in terms of reducing using the paper. So this is something small, but it is a very high impact. And another thing is that for the factory manufacturing or also the transportation or logistic industry, we also using the 5G autonomous network, working with our partner. For example, the heavy industry, we also using the 5G to combine with the, for example, SCG. So the truck can be unmanned truck. That is, for example, and also the smart city and building. So this is our action in terms of, act now and focus on the environment. ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณมากครับเห็นว่า AIS เป็นบริษัทที่ลูกค้าเกิน 45 ล้านคน
AIS has more than 45 million customers, so it's a huge operation, and they are very focused from the upstream, their suppliers, to encourage all the suppliers to come from sustainable sources, and the operation process within AIS focuses on renewable energy, smart energy, and they have a good e-waste management, whether it's the smartphone or other devices to reduce the landfill waste. Also to develop my AS application to reduce papers, footprint, logistics, postals. So these are all the actions to help us move forward to sustainability.
Can I ask you the same thing about how is BASF helping to set goals and action plans to reduce the greenhouse gas?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, thank you for the invitation as well. Very happy to be here in Bangkok today. Yeah, representing chemistry, and in chemistry, the largest chemical company, BASF. Yeah, let me talk about how we address sustainability, and you rightly mentioned the targets as well. Maybe a first comment on chemistry in general. Chemistry is in basically everything we touch and feel every day, we use every day, be it the car, be it a mattress, be it everything else you can think of. And it is, for most of the other customers more downstream, the upstream part which is contributing significantly, for example, to the carbon emissions. So that's why also what we are saying, when you want to decarbonize, you have to make sure that your upstream, your suppliers also decarbonize, and this is chemistry, and this is specifically also, of course, BASF. So we are focusing on the reduction of carbon emissions. I will give you some examples about, first of all, it's about starting with transparency. You have to know your emissions, especially inside your own plants, be it in your own operations, be it from the energy you consume, or scope 1 and scope 2. And then, as we saw it on your slide as well, of course, you have to again look at your suppliers and your customers, scope 3, in order to find out what in the end adds to the final product in terms of carbon emissions. In chemistry, we don't like to talk about decarbonizing so much. We cannot decarbonize. It's all carbon is in all the molecules we need. But what we have to make sure is that we reduce the emissions to zero. And coming to the targets, maybe next slide, please. Of course, we have set ourselves the target to reduce and come to carbon neutrality by 2050, according to the Paris Climate Protocol. And what is also important is that there is an interim target. By 2030, we want to reduce by 25% compared to today. But very importantly, the topic did not only start yesterday for BASF. Since 1990, we have already reduced our carbon emissions by 45%, so almost half, already up to today. And that is a lot of effort which is necessary to make it happen. So here you have the numbers. Just to put that in perspective, so we started from 40 million metric tons, which is significant. It's a very intense industry, and we have to make sure that we reduce that. We want to come down. We are already at 22 roughly, and how we do that, of course, we look at our own operations, and what we are looking at is, first of all, the energy that we use for our processes, and in chemistry, you need a lot of energy. And secondly, of course, we look at the processes as such, and in chemical processes, we emit CO2. It's even sometimes a product, if you think about, for example, Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, all possible. We have to reduce it, and we are doing that with very different measures. And I'll give you some examples what exactly we are doing. And we set ourselves the target to reduce by another 25% until 2030. It needs a lot of effort. Maybe I stop here and I give the examples a little bit later how that can be done.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carola. BASF เป็นบริษัทผลิตสารเคมีซึ่งเป็นอยู่ในผลิตภัณฑ์ หลายๆอย่างที่จะสัมผัสในชีวิตของ
BASF is a chemical product producer. That's you find a lot of that in lots of products, and we talk about to decarbonize, but with all these organic chemistry, you get carbon everywhere, and but the way they try to reduce greenhouse gases. We could reduce up to 45% since 1990, and the target is then they plan to reduce another 25% by the end of 2030 and plan to be net zero by 2050. So our speaker has presented on the various factors that will help reduce the greenhouse gases. So this is a long-term effort that will continue.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit about how GC is contributing to this effort as well?
I think first of all, I'd like to thank your partner for being here today, just to share perspective and also exchange idea. It's a very interesting topic. I think we like to discuss on the action, right? And what GC is doing, we similar to BASF. We are in 10 industry, right, on the carbon footprint. So we try our best to cut it down and make sure that we can reach the target in 2050. But first of all, I'd like to say a few words on our business. I think GC is a Thai-based company, right? But we have a global operation on the major continents, and that's why we have to optimize in terms of our supply chain globally, and to make sure that we can deliver a solution to our customer at the same time that we can reduce the environmental footprint like a carbon emission at the same time. Next one, please. I think for our business, we still have a growth aspiration, right? To basically to serve our customer. So we continue to invest in the new business. That's why we produce a bit more of a carbon every year, right? For the business plan, but we not compromise in terms of the carbon footprint. Our management are very serious about how to cut down the carbon emission, right? So what you can see from the graph, we will continue to grow in terms of business, but at the same time we will cut down the emission, right? According to the Paris Agreement, meaning in the 2050, we like to cut it down at 20% rate. And going forward, 2050, we hopefully to cut it down to zero. So it's a net zero company, right? So we're taking undertaking a few steps, right? For our existing asset, manufacturing, we try to be very productive in terms of how to bring in the technology, right? And to make sure that we at the forefront in terms of cutting down the carbon, whatever we produce for every tons of products, right? Secondly, I think we in the process of the transformation, meaning we can transition from conventional fuel that we use today to a cleaner energy. I think similar to BASF, but what you are doing, and I think a challenging issue because different regions have a different in terms of renewable supply. And that's why we have to make sure that we can optimize in terms of the asset in the different region as well, right? So in terms of the business, we make sure that the business not growing just on the core business. We explore for the new opportunity to make sure that the business more green and also have a leverage in terms of a renewable feedstock as well. So you can see from the chart, we intended to grow so-called bio-based business and also the circularity-based business, like a recycling material at the same time. So part of restructuring business, I think this is one of the important agenda that we like to increase and grow more proportion of the green business. Next one, please. And I think like Peter Drucker said, right, you cannot manage what you can measure. So we have to make sure that every step of the way we can measure in details what sort of carbon footprint that need to be managed. For the first one, we so-called portfolio driven, meaning we're in the process of transition the business, right? and whatever the business will be doing, we underlying the sustainability principle. So the new business that we invest have a lower carbon and have a higher value. So we focus a bit more on the low carbon business at the moment, and to make sure that we can deliver to the customer what we need. I mean, in terms of like Pepsi, right? The recycling is one of the example that the customer is looking for the solution. For example, the food contact application. I think we can work with the partner to deliver some sort of the products. Secondly, is our asset. Like Caroline mentioned, I think chemical business, we still have to use energy. So we have to produce the carbon anyway. So we cannot cut down by ourselves at 100%. So we have to need help from the technology and so new supply of a different source of the power, right? So we plan to, within 2050, we will use all of our energy as a renewable energy or the clean energy, right? To basically use less of the fossil fuel. Thirdly, because we cannot do it by ourselves 100%. So we have to rely on the compensation, meaning use other means, for example, natural remedy, right, and nature-based solution like forestation or reforestation, right, to absorb the extra carbon. And another way is technology. We will rely on, for example, carbon capture and storage, right? Basically to take whatever carbon dioxide from our asset and put it down subsea or underground, to make sure that we can cut down the rest of the carbon. And what we are doing for the trees, scheme, we suppose that we can confidently that we can cut it down to zero by 2050.
GC เป็นบริษัทที่
Okay, GC is actually a very big company, and they're petrochemical businesses. They have like over 43 countries, and we have lots of units of GC's units in Thailand itself. So, but anyhow, the target is reduce 20% by 2030, and 2050 0%. And just like what Dr. Chaya said, everything all includes a lot of things. Like we want to use completely renewable energy by 2050, and that means we also have to take a look at our supply chain, right, and see what type of technology they use and make sure the business is sustainable. And yeah, we have to find technologies where we can capture carbon. So we actually need to catch it, right, and not really releasing it into the atmosphere. So there are so many steps and efforts in GC's strategy.
So the next question I would have is about our key achievements. So can you tell us what successes you've had in the past with the projects you've achieved and the factors and challenges you encountered in your operations as you were driving towards a more sustainable operation? Can I start with you, Kunashish?
Thank you. So, if you look at our goals, I spoke about three key areas. So first is water. So in the area of water, we are targeting a 1.4 liter per liter KPI. And in fact, I'm happy to say that we are quite close to it. We are operating at now very close to it. And we ended right now this year, we are YTD running at 1.42 liter per liter, very close to where we want to be. And this is not easy because it requires a lot of different initiatives.
Can I ask real quick about this target of 1.4? Can you give us a benchmark of like what it used to be in the past? Like when we were
typically most beverage companies, even ourselves, we would operate at even close to 2 liters per liter. So it's a significant step.
Yes.
So thank you for asking that question. And in fact, even the best-in-class operations, they operate at even around 1.5, 1.6. So 1.4 is very difficult to achieve because, as I said, the usage of water is not only for producing beverage, but also for things like cleaning and even small things like even the garden, maintaining the garden in the plant, right? So it gets used for a lot of different initiatives. So primarily what we have done is to make sure that there is very little wastage of water. So even at the right from the beginning, when you look at the RO technology or the reverse osmosis technology that we use to purify the water, we actually circle back the water a few times. So therefore, it ensures that the water which is not getting wasted at all, and even the final wastewater, which we cannot use entirely, that also gets used within our plant. For example, it's used in the bathrooms. It is not thrown away entirely. So that is how you start reducing water over time. And the other big area of water usage in the plants, for instance, is cleaning. So again, cleaning technology, we've actually invested in technologies which reduce the amount of water that is required for cleaning. The other big area is greenhouse gases. So on greenhouse gases, there are, it's of course a vast field, and there are many, many things to be done over a long period of time. We have a target of 30%. We have achieved almost 14% versus 2019. One of the big challenges of greenhouse gas, at least the way we have set up our target, is that we have set up against a baseline of 2019, and we have to reduce versus 2019. While on the other hand, every year sales goes up, volume goes up, consumption goes up. So therefore, it's a very tough benchmark to actually reduce your greenhouse gas emission while your actual business is growing in terms of volume. So it's not an easy target. We are doing various initiatives, especially when it comes to our own energy utilization. So we are trying to deploy a solar roof, for instance, in our plants to make sure we are generating as much of energy as we can through that. Also areas like logistics, optimizing a logistics network and so on. So there are various areas in which we have worked to be able to drive that. And speaking of, I think there was one more slide here. Yeah. So if you look at some of the key solutions also that we put in place in the area of packaging, which was the third area which I had mentioned, we have almost achieved 100% recyclable material. Most of our materials that we use are recyclable. And we've also increased, in fact, thanks to our collaboration with the PTT group, we have managed to launch, we were the first in Thailand to launch recycled PET beverage bottles. And this year we'll be achieving only a small 3% of our total volume as recycled PET. But we will ramp it up now quickly as we go along to the next few years. Now, in terms of, just to give you an idea of what are some of the things we have done. So several ideas are mentioned here on the slide, but basically the focus is to use materials which are highly recyclable, such as PET, and also to make sure that we enable the recycling chain. For instance, not using colored bottles. So it is obviously easier for our recyclers to use colorless bottles to recycle them. Removing color printed logos. So if you have ink, printed ink on the bottle caps, it is harder to recycle them. So various initiatives like that we have taken to be able to drive our plastics recyclability. The other big thing we have done is also to keep looking at ways to lightweight our bottles. So there are various technologies that are being deployed by various companies, and we're always trying to learn from the best in class operations around the world. And for instance, now there are products where we actually dose nitrogen, a little bit of nitrogen into the product when we make it, and the nitrogen becomes gas when it goes into the bottle, and therefore even a light bottle can hold its shape. So there are various techniques like this that we have deployed to be able to reduce our plastic consumption over the years.
Very interesting. Thank you. คือต้องพูดถึงการ
So, as a beverage company, because beverage is basically it's water. So yeah, it's impossible to zero use of water, but we try to achieve a good ratio. We have to prepare it for cleaning and for gardening. But like in the past, yeah, 1 liter of Pepsi requires 2 liters of water, but now it has come down to about 1.42 liters of water used to manufacture the product. And we also have the problems of greenhouse gases. So this is something that Suntory Pepsi tries to achieve, the 30%. And yeah, that means if they could do it, the company will achieve its goal. Then yeah, for sure, because when you have more production, you're going to have more greenhouse gases. So we try to cut it down to 13.6%. And another thing is they take care is go forward to more recyclable PET bottles, so we can recycle the PET bottles. And I think what you saw in there, it's all made from all recyclable plastic. So if you look at the volume of this product, it's quite a lot. So we can drive it forward.
Chun, can I ask you the same question about the successes that AIS has experienced in your drive towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions?
Okay, so for AIS, actually, I have to say that we begin from a very, very small initiative from our internal organization. But when you look at the statistic that I show on the screen right now, what I just mentioned, what we begin is that we began in year 2019. That's when we look at the number. You can see the number here. This is the number that researched by the Pollution Control Department or กรมควบคุมมลพิษนะคะ So this is, you will see that each year there is the number here is 400 nearly 450,000 tons of e-waste per year that happen in our country, and only 7% that has been managed properly. The number, and also the number has improved in last year 2022. 10% of the e-waste has been managed properly to a zero landfill measure. So AIS, we are realized this problem, and as was I mentioned, we began from our internal organization, and then we come up with a campaign that we walk along the street because our headquarters is based in Pahon Yotin. So we come up with our alliance. The first, what we call the first year, we call Green พหลโยธิน Alliance เครือข่ายพหลโยธินสีเขียว So along the พหลโยธิน street, if you can imagine, we have headquarter of IBM, we have several headquarter of bank, ธนาคารออมสิน OK Bank. So we knock the door and we talk to them, hey, this is the problem that we see. So let's come up with, the campaign. And as of today, you can see the next page, please. Our journeys from 2019 up until this year, we have come up with what we call the hub of e-waste. So the hub of e-waste is, what we mean is, firstly, we be a center of the e-waste knowledge, and all the several organization or even the individual, the family who are care for this kind of thing, because you imagine, you ask yourself, for you have how many devices? So where are you going to throw your the old device or obsolete device that you don't want it? So this is firstly, we create the hub of e-waste in terms of the knowledge sharing, and secondly, we create the space for people to come up and exchange the knowledge. What we call is the co-creation space. So by doing this, we engage more and more people, more and more organization. And as of today, we are proud to say that, in the next page, you will see that we have more than 190 organizations joining with us to doing this campaign. So I have to say that, we begin from the small. You ask yourself, and this is also your responsibility. We have to admit that, we are the consumer, we consume the device because we are living in the digital technology age. So we are consumer, but at the same time, we are also the producer of the waste, of the e-waste. So that is why AIS is come up with this campaign, and we are not stopping our journey. We are continuing our journey, and we are pleased if if your organization is want to join with us. So this is what our passion, and this is we are proudly to share with our best practice, particularly to engage with the end consumer.
Thank you คุณสายชน Actually I want to mention
ขอบคุณมากนะคะจริงๆผมอยากจะบอกว่าได้เห็นจุดเก็บขยะ e-waste นะคะของ AS เนี่ยอยู่ทุกที่ต้องบอกว่ามันก็เป็นสิ่งที่ดีที่
throwing batteries away or old useless e-waste equipment, that there's a place to put it, and otherwise people would just be like, well, I'll just throw it away with the general trash. So that kind of initiative is not only collecting it but also raising the awareness. So thank you for that. And สั้นๆนะครับคือ e-waste ที่เมืองไทยก็เป็นปัญหา
So e-waste is now a big problem. We create about nearly 440,000 tons per year of e-waste. This is only in Thailand, which is a huge number, and we can only probably manage it about 7% in 2019, and in 2022 about 10% has been properly managed, but that means that 90% of the e-waste are still ending up in the landfill, which is really bad for the environment. And AIS has started a campaign in their neighborhood by the headquarters on Phon Yotin Road, meeting with big organization on the same road, inviting them to join the campaign. And that's a good start to find alliance to join the project. And now they have got a lot of organization joining the project, and the project can help create awareness for each organization to properly manage their e-waste. And the target is to be able to get rid of about 400,000 e-waste in 2000.
Can you I would love to hear about your successes and efforts at BASF in this area.
Yes, now I'm coming to the examples I already promised. Let me maybe first start with some examples how we reduce carbon emissions at the sites. First of all, what helps is to replace fossil fuels with new technologies, and I want to give you a few examples. First of all, we will generate less CO2 if we use green power. What we are doing in terms of energy which we use at the site, we are setting up actually the world's largest heat pump. And when a chemical company talks about a heat pump, it's really something very big, so you invest millions actually in that. And a heat pump will help to recover the energy you anyway generate and use it then for your next process. So that's one of the examples. It's currently being built in Ludwigshafen, our headquarter, but that's actually an example we are using elsewhere also in the world. Then we have the world's first electric e-furnace and e-cracker actually. I have to give a little background here as well. It's a project which we are doing together with SABIC and which we are doing together with Linde. It's quite a big project. Talking about that, the cracker is the core of every chemical production. And in this core, you have to actually put a lot of energy, and usually that comes from gas and from fossil fuels. If you want to make that green, you have to electrify this process. So you have to heat up actually this device, which is very large, by power actually, and it should be green power. And when we achieve this, it would mean a 90% reduction of carbon emissions for our cracker operation, which of course is very, very significant. That's actually the biggest and most important part in our operations.
Can I ask?
And lastly,
sorry, real quick. Can you explain a little bit about what the cracker is doing? Like, I'm not sure if everyone here is aware of that kind of technology, but
Okay.
I think it's a pretty significant a process that people aren't aware of that affects their lives?
Yes. So basically, when you create chemistry, you start from oil and gas in the linear economy. I will come to that also in a minute. You start from oil and gas, and then you need to generate basically the basic molecules. We call them C2, C3, and C4 to do further downstream chemistry. And this core and important part is creating from this fuel basically all these molecules you need for further processing. It's really the key part of any chemical operation. And if you get that green, you have done a major, major step.
So that's like taking crude oil and then breaking it into its components that we use for motor oil or gasoline or fuel oil.
You break it down for actually all the molecules in chemistry, and there are large chemical chains which follow from there. So for example, plastic, polyethylene, polypropylene, they all come from in the end from the cracker. So sorry for going into too much detail probably on chemistry,
good.
But I think it's really the core to understand how the whole chemical industry can reduce. And then very important, we all talk about hydrogen. Hydrogen actually for chemical industry is not new. We use it for 200 years. But the thing is how to generate hydrogen without a lot of CO2 emission. It's the next very, very important part. And here we are working, well, a lot of people work on electrolysis, where you can use power again to create hydrogen, and that's good. And I think we are doing a lot of progress. But what we are working on is then the chemical process with that. We call it methane pyrolysis, meaning we start from methane, where hydrogen is in, and we get the hydrogen out without creating CO2. It's a new process, all new technology. So that's one example. Of course, it's all about optimizing the processes further. I talked about how we reduced to 50% already. It's a lot within your processes to make it more efficient. And especially for the start, that's really something everyone can concentrate on and can work on. There's a lot to gain. And then, of course, the example of the green power, I talked about that, and maybe we move to the next slide. We need a lot of power for operations, for example, for the cracker in future, but for a lot of more things. And BASF has started very early to invest also into wind parks. Just as an example, in Europe, close to the Holland coast, there is the world's largest wind park, and BASF is owning a significant part of that. We have, of course, on-site solar parks, very big scale. Of course, we work with a lot of governments here, with a lot of private companies here to get green power from the different parts all over Asia. Lots of examples here as well. Just succeeded in a PPA agreement also in Korea. So these are some examples which we have done for the CO2 emissions. And if I get 1 or 2 more minutes, I would like to explain one other part which is extremely important to get more sustainable in the chemical industry. One is the CO2 emissions, but the other one, and you also mentioned it, is the circularity which we have, and of course you also mentioned it before, the circularity which we have to achieve. So we do not want to start anymore from fossil fuels, but we want to make sure that we can close the loop and basically work from waste, which is then used as an input material for chemical production. You gave the next nice example of PET bottles. That is an example, and here, by the way, also chemistry plays a role, because if you want to reuse PET bottles, you have to make sure that your chain length stays as you want it, and there are some additives. But there's much more to it, because some of the plastics are mixed, are glued together, are not so easy to recycle. And then you have to go for a depolymerization. You basically start again in the chain and make a fresh virgin material, as we call it, from that. Or you go even bigger and you go for chemical recycling, where you can take a lot of different mixed plastic waste and put that into the process again. You don't need the fossil fuel anymore, and then you put that into the value chain. It's still a journey. It's not that we are all yet there, but it's still a journey, but that's how to transform the chemical industry. So I'm not only talking, I'm also giving you examples what we've done. For example, BMW Group is the first OEM to use our paints. It's certified according biomass balance approach. Actually here in this example we don't use plastic, but we use biomass, but also we can feed this into our chain. Second example is Ultraform, that's engineering plastic. This is one example, but it also goes into cars, into lots of more application. And here we also have a certified, and that is very important, a certified renewable resource. By the way, when you buy Ultraform from us, you can also ask for a lower carbon emission Ultraform, and we have then ways, again, how with the allocation, how to offer a reduced carbon footprint product. And we have clarity on all our products what the carbon footprint is. I think I skipped the last example to give enough time also for the colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Carola. ก็มีการเพิ่ม
So there's been increase in circular energy, which is the approach, a very common approach. But another interesting thing is that they are using a smart technology to reduce greenhouse gas reduction. It's a new technology, new innovation. For example, she has given us the example of using a lot of process, including plastics, which this project actually uses fuel oil, but we might be able to shift it to energy. This would be a new innovation, and also trying to promote circular approach. So not starting from fossil fuel, but trying to renew or reuse the waste. So there are a lot of samples that you can see that they are trying to create new initiatives.
With us of what GC has been doing and the successes that you've experienced?
Yes, I think for GC, like I mentioned earlier, right, we have a roadmap and the target to reduce the emission to zero by 2050. But I think the first milestone is 2030 that we plan to cut down about 20%, right? So we have three pillars. I think I mentioned it before. One is efficiency driven. So basically decarbonize our asset, right? That one is still on track, meaning by 2030 we plan to cut down about 600,000 tons of CO2, right? I think it's a multiple project, it's ongoing. During the last year alone, I think we undertaking about 100 something project, right, for energy conservation, energy saving project. By leveraging technology, changing our equipment, adjusting our process, and so in summary, we cut it down according to our plan from our manufacturing, and secondly, we also try to basically adopt the clean energy. We are doing the same, meaning we're starting to bring in more capacity from renewable power. And as you see from the number, I think we are a bit faster from our target, right? I think we're reaching 2030 target already, but still have to accelerate in terms of how to bring in more green power in the future. Secondly, on the compensation, meaning how we can offset our carbon credit. In this area, we're also quite active, right? We're working with a few agencies in the country. For example, we're working with the BMA, the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, to reforestation some of the area in Bangkok, right? One example is an area in On Nut. It used to be landfill, and we think it might be a good idea, right? So we can put the forest on top of the landfill. I think the first kind ever, because it's very difficult to do so because of soil condition and everything. But with the collaboration with the BMA, I think it's make it possible. I think we're supposed to be complete the project by the end of the year. So we have a bit more of public park over the landfill. I think one of the good example that might be able to scale up for some other places. Secondly, I think we work with the government, like Ministry of Environmental and Resources. I think they're very kind to give up access to the land, right, near the shore and also inland. So we plant more mangrove and also some of the tree, right, in many areas around the country, and that would be able to get a very good in terms of, if you know mangrove, it takes about almost 10 times of the capacity of the biomass. So it's cut down a lot of the CO2, can absorb very a lot of the CO2 from the air. And it will help us reach the target, meaning we plan to get about 1.3 million tons of CO2 by reforestation. I think we on track and we be able to meet that target in 2030. Next one, please. I think that more importantly, in not just our operation, we believe that we have to help in terms of the supply chain and our customer as well, right? So we try to embed the sustainability and also the concept of low carbon product. So what we can offer to customer. I think first example, I think we heard from Miguel, right? Our group CEO company this morning, Onyx. We put our thinking behind sustainability in the products, right? We have low VOC coatings. We have the product using bio-based, for example. So not just we cut down our emission from the operation, we help the customer to cut down their carbon emission as well. So I think it's a win-win situation. Secondly, bio-based. I think this is important because we can significantly cut down the scope 3 because the feedstock are coming from agricultural products, right? So we help the farmer at the same time have a good product in terms of low carbon footprint as well, right? So I think GC in terms of capacity, we are number one in bioplastic producer, and we can provide different type of resin that can use in many products. You can see the example outside the room in the exhibition. This one of the example is that the product can be more greener, and you can help natural resources in terms of incorporate those green carbon into the product, right? Thirdly, I think by using new resources like a bio-based, we can reuse the resources like a recycle, right? I think we getting the example from using the PET bottle and turn into the food contact application like a bottle again. I think this is the first ever in Thailand that we have approval by the FDA, right? So that's give us more hope in terms of we can turn the recycling material into more value-added products. And people we get when we see the value, we hope that ecosystem going to be set up, meaning more collector or even people from household can separate and aggregate the waste and bring it into the system. So the recycle going to be basically less costly. And for when it bring it back to the consumer, we will get more very competitive product compared to the virgin material. So I think that's our hope that in the future the scale going to be a bit bigger, and people going to join in terms of the effort, right? In terms of waste management and collection system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chia. พูดถึงการที่จะ
So to achieve this, and we need to use power efficiently. We need efficient technology, like BASF has the same approach. Okay, we also consider carbon capture, like you say, forestation in on-nut area, working together with BMA. So these are the actions where we can, grab the carbon. Okay, another thing is our portfolio, the portfolio itself. We will have a portfolio of more sustainable products. So the packaging can be recycled easier. Everything will be more efficient. So that's also for consumers to join us. Yeah, this will actually build towards sustainability.
Of you is that given climate change, we all agree, is an urgent global concern. How would you encourage other organizations to participate in this journey to net zero if they may be thinking, yeah, it sounds good, but why should I? And I think all of you have your organizations have shown that commitment, and I'd like to hear from each of you a little bit about what you would tell them.
So I think the reality is that if you see the difference between different countries where the awareness of sustainability issues is less or more, you find that ultimately a lot of change happens because it's driven by the people. So, for example, if I compare most parts of Asia, including Thailand, with, say, Europe, you will see that in Europe there's a lot of pressure today on manufacturers to ensure sustainable packaging. And I mean, we know from our businesses in Europe that even retailers are not allowing products to be listed if they are not made from recycled PET. So that happens because consumers are asking for it. So this is something which will happen. Today we are living in an internet age where information travels all around the world and awareness is very high. So I think other manufacturers have to realize that today you may be living in a part of the world where this may not be the biggest thing on people's minds, but it's a matter of time when, either because of just what they're seeing around them in their own environment, or based on awareness from what's happening in other parts of the world, there is going to be significant pressure from consumers on companies to do the right thing. So I think people have to awaken to that reality, and they have to start doing what is required to make sure that they're doing the right things for sustainability.
Thank you very much คือแน่นอน
Okay, yeah, so consumers will pressure manufacturers to do as consumers want. So, the manufacturers have to change their behaviors and move to sustainable, products or packaging or whatever. Like in Europe, this pressure is already there. Yeah, so it will be like environmentally friendly.
Yes, for AIS, what we see the change of the consumer is that I have read one research recently by AC Nielsen. AC Nielsen is they have conducted research not just in Thailand but also in throughout Asia. But interestingly, for Thailand, 31% of Thai people is already have value in the green economy. Anything that has promise of the green philosophy or the product or those things. So they are ready and more than happy to support such brand or such organization. So this is what we found. But yet another 69% of those people, some of them still skeptical. Should I support the green product, or should I focus on the price point, or what is the value? And another group is that also they need a solution. Yes, I'm so care for the environment, but I need the solution. I need the brand that have green product for me. I need the brand that has value in the bottle, that telling me the story. And exactly the same as well, behind the scene, all the chemical that become my clothes and all the thing. If this is what we see, that the trend of the consumer has now increased year on year on the green society. So as AIS as well, you can see on the screen we are saying that and we want to invite everyone in this room, every organization, and or for those who are also watching for the live broadcast right now, we are inviting us or to participate and then to be the green economy ecosystem for Thai. And so this is, I think if we join force together and then, we walk our talk, as what you just mentioned, you also, people nowadays, they have awareness. They're already aware, but some of them asking for the solution. Some of them already adopt, for the green or the green product or the green brand or the green philosophy of such organization. So I want to leave to the floor here is that please come together and walk together to the goal for green and for the green economy for Thai.
คุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณมากครับ thank you คือพูดคล้ายๆกับคุณอนี
Very similar to Mr. Ashi that it comes from the consumers. There are statistics that shows that consumers are more interested in green products, or equivalent to 31% of consumers who consider these factors when they choose products. But the other 69%, some of them are interested, but they are still waiting that the manufacturer have to offer a value. They have to tell the story and explain to the consumers as to why they have to opt to those green products, and they have to understand why it's so significant, and that's the only way that we can achieve it together.
Give us a few words of motivation of why we should all be going towards net zero.
Yes. So what we have to do, and I agree, actually it's the time for cooperation and that we all work together. I also want to mention the mindset, and I'm now in Asia for more than 20 years. I think the mindset, I mean, everyone is on it. I think it's very, very clear, especially if you talk to the young generation. It's a must, it's a license to operate, which is a very good development. And I think also things move fast here in Asia. I'm very, very happy about that. It needs a lot of effort by all of us. I think it's cross-value chain collaboration for solution and also standards. For a lot of topics, you need kind of one language to talk to each other. Also, of course, governments will be involved and are involved. We see that. There need to be regulations. There need to be certain certification and standards. And we also have to be aware that the transformation has to happen, and it will happen. But to get there, of course, it's an economic challenge for the companies, for the consumers. They have to, we talked about the price point, they have to maybe pay more. So we need the support by really the whole also legal framework to make that happen. Infrastructure, renewable energy, I think we all have that in our example. In the end, it's all about having this infrastructure in each and every country, and the solutions are different. Looking at every country in Asia Pacific, the approaches must be different, are different, but we see countries moving. Lastly, I talked about, or second last, sorry, I talked about circular economy and how we can feed our waste again into the systems. Very important, and we advocate for that very much because we are a global player. We need an open loop system. What does that mean? We all, again, across countries need to accept recycled material, need to accept that there needs to be streams of products from one country to the other. So that's another pledge, and I think also here we see this region, but not only this region, moving. And last but not least, financing the whole transition. It costs money. We need the banks to support that, and we also need the banks to help the banks to identify sustainable business. So that's the whole topic of taxonomy. I could talk about that another 50 minutes. I won't. But the topic of taxonomy, how to really measure what is sustainable and not for financing, is a very important topic for Asia Pacific and for the world as well.
Thank you, Dr. Carl. I really like what you said there about it's the next generations รุ่นต่อไปที่อยากได้ they're the ones who are driving this as well, and that it's really important all the different factors. The last one you mentioned about financing การลงทุนถ้าเป็นธนาคารที่จะมาให้กู้เงินต้องมีการที่จะ encourage ว่า policy ของธนาคารต้อง encourage ในด้านนี้ด้วยแล้วทำให้เรารู้สึกว่ามันต้องไปด้วยกัน we have to go together with this. Okay, thank you. And finally, Dr. Chia.
Yes, I think I agree with all of you, right? I think collaboration is very important and critical, and I think the impact is quite severe from what we've seen for the past couple of years, right? So, but I would think people have to start assessing ourselves, not just organization, company, but even individually. I think we all have a carbon footprint. We take train, MRT, BTS to the conference. We have to eat lunch. We have to drink, right? We have to start what is our footprint, and when we know the baseline, we'll be able to, what should we do, right? And everyone start helping to look at what we are doing today, right? It's going to be in a bigger scale. and I think people have started to believe it's the right thing to do. Otherwise, you will not start, right? You will not collect the waste at home. You will not separate. You cannot put in the right place, right? If you believe, you will change the behavior, and hopefully everyone believe at the same thing, and we can, collaborate to make sure that we reach to a higher in terms of the scale and also the target, right? I think Caroline mentioned, I think the transition needs financing. It's very costly. The business needs support as well, meaning the regulation, the policy. That's also important, and we like either the government or some of the private sector. I think we have to discuss more how to take the transition as quickly as possible, and people still in business, meaning it's cost effective and help everyone to be in the supply chain to move together.
Thank you very much Dr. Chia พูดถึงการ
Okay, it starts from individual behavior where you need to change your lifestyle towards more sustainable lifestyle, and we also need to discuss about businesses, and to be sustainable we need investment, and we try to balance this out, and we need to be competitive in the market. But still, there are ways we could change our operations and make it more sustainable. So this will require support from the government, where this can be possible, or maybe where banks will provide loans for sustainable businesses. Okay, so I have to.
Executives who've taken their valuable time to join us here today. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashish Joshi, the Chief Executive Officer of Suntory PepsiCo Beverage Thailand, Ms. Saichon Sapmak Udom, Head of Public Relations and Business Relations and Business Units of AIS, Dr. Carla Richter, Regional President of BASF Asia Pacific, excluding Thailand, and Dr. Chaya Jantawasu, Executive Vice President of Sustainability for GC. Thank you very much to all of you for sharing your knowledge, experiences, organizational strategies, which are geared towards a common goal, which is bringing us all to net zero. And we hope that it has been a benefit to all of you today. Of course, no single organization or individual can achieve this alone. And that means that we all have to get cooperation from every sector, from government to public and private sectors, to help address these global issues. And then we are able to then pass along a sustainable world to the future generations together. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณมากนะครับ And before we go, I'd like to ask everyone again to please have a chance to scan the QR code, which would allow us to have a survey, a very short survey that we can gather your opinions about the issues that we are talking about today. And we really appreciate your time and attention this afternoon. And the next session, which will be under the topic of Accelerate Now, what tools or mechanisms will aid the acceleration of our journey to net zero? Kun Ning Saraychat will be leading that session, which will be in Thai language. Again, thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate you all being here, and we hope to see you outside and enjoying more of the GC Sustainable Lifestyle Symposium.
Thank you to all our speakers และขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับคุณแจ็คด้วยนะคะขอบพระคุณมากๆเลยค่ะขอบพระคุณทุกท่านเลยนะคะแล้วก็อย่างที่คุณจ่าไว้นะคะเรามี QR code แบบสอบถามออนไลน์นะคะเพื่อที่ว่าเราจะได้นำไปพัฒนาปรับปรุงในการจัดงานครั้งต่อไปทุกท่านยังคงสามารถที่จะร่วมเขียนหรือว่าใส่แบบสอบถามของเราที่ทุกท่านได้ทำการสแกนไปเมื่อสักครู่นี้นะคะดิฉันสอยชัดคุณชรนิติยาจิรแพทย์ค่ะขอกราบสวัสดีอย่างเป็นทางการอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะแล้วก็จะเป็นผู้ดำเนินรายการในช่วงเสวนาครั้งต่อไปกับหัวข้อ Accelerate Now นะคะที่เราจะมาเรียนรู้เรื่องมือและกลไกในการเร่งรีบขับเคลื่อน Net Zero ให้เกิดขึ้นได้ในประเทศไทยนะคะตั้งแต่นโยบายสนับสนุนและการส่งเสริมจากภาครัฐการ
So we'll be learning about tools or mechanisms to speed up the drive to and actualize net zero. we will be discussed with our speakers. May I invite Mr. Danusha Pichayanan, Secretary General, the National Economic and Social Development Council. Mr. Chris Chantanotok, Chief Executive Officer, Siam Commercial Bank. Mr. Griangrai Tianukul, Chairman, the Federation of Thai Industries. Mr. Isada Hiranviwatkul, Managing Director and Senior Partner, Boston Consulting Group. Hello to everyone. So this is another interesting topic that I am sure all the audience will gain benefits. So I would like to start with the first question, starting from Kun Danusha at the NESDC. The government, do you have a policy or any national mechanism to support reducing the GHG together with developing the economy? I would like to explain that the national policy, which we have been working on for 45 years now, has actually focused on this because we can see the trend of the sustainable development and decarbonization. We realize that that will be the world trend, a global trend, and we have started since we did a national strategy, and it's the direction that we have been working on. And we have many roadmaps that discuss about sustainable development. The one that we actually used during these 5 years is the 13th edition of the plan. And this one, we want a development to go to a green growth. So it will be a development that go on the route for the benefit of the environment as well. So within this plan, we have a development in the sector, whether it's the industry sector, which we are actually very capable, the automobile, medical equipment, logistics, as well as electronics, digital industries. And within that, we try to focus on the BCG economy. BCG can be incorporated in a large corporation down to local communities. So we are trying to focus on this in the macro and micro level. And this is the direction that we are trying to, it has been set nationally, but the actual operational plan would be at the department or the organization levels. And we have a lot of operational plans that focuses on reducing GHG emission and changing the manufacturing process within communities. The main work plan are all the measures from BOI. This is a very important platform which I think would be a great incentive to draw the private sector to change their manufacturing, whether in the industry sector, manufacturing sector, and logistics sectors, to which all these sectors do have high emission. And the BOI measures or BOI platform has been utilized by a lot of people. One thing we probably will have to ask for cooperation from the private sector as well as the financial sector is that the measures that we have announced, it's very easy for the large industry to get access, but for the SME who would like to transform themselves in terms of reducing the carbon footprint, they still face problem in terms of accessing the financial, especially accessing the financial sector, trying to get the funding. So maybe we need your help. The SME that are the supply chains of the huge manufacturer, if they cannot decarbonize themselves, then it would affect the large industry as well. Another thing that the government has already prepared is the carbon trading or the T-World. We have started this already, but the certification for this is still very expensive. And this certification is used domestically. If we can adjust these standards or this certificate to be international, then I think that would be really beneficial. Because in Europe, they're using CBAM. I guess you all understand what CBAM is. And in the future, there will be more and more of this. And the energy plan, we have also a plan to look for renewable energy, because we understand that the service sector, the industrial sector would like to use the renewable energy. So we are preparing for that as well. And I understand that the new plan will be launched quite soon. I think there will be renewable energy about 40,000 meg. I think this is enough to support the industry sector. And another thing that we try to encourage in the community, especially in the agricultural sector, is to change their agriculturing practice, especially the community forests. Community forest is very important. If they maintain it well and they can certify the community forest, that would be a great resource so that they can sell the carbon for the private sector. So this is what we have been planning. So the national plan definitely focuses on sustainability, and 5 years from here we will try to develop for the benefits for the environment as well as everyone gaining benefit. We will be using BCG, whether it's the big organization or the community level, and we need collaboration from the private sector, especially the financial institutes. So next, Kun Grit, do you have any kind of mechanism to help support each organization to work for net zero?
ก็ต้องเรียนก่อนนะครับว่าก่อนที่
Okay, before I can answer this, I will share you the statistics of the size of the problem and the money required to solve this problem. From the information from our bank research and presented today, you find that if the global temperature rises, now has risen like 1.2, and if it rises to 3 Celsius, how will it affect the world's GDP? So okay, if from 1.2 to 3.2 Celsius, the GDP will shrink 18%. Now, if we look at the same problem and look at Thailand, now if the temperature rises by 3.2 Celsius, it will affect more. It will be like minus 44%. Why is it in Thailand it's like that? Now the thing is, Thailand is a food manufacturer, so if we have too much of this greenhouse gas, too much change in temperature, the environment will be affected. Areas of tourism will be very much impacted. So if the global temperature rises like that, Thailand will be very, very much impacted. Now, if you see the problem, the severity of this problem, if we, because of this greenhouse gas. Now, how to solve this problem? Well, what's the money required? So there was a research where we got information that if the temperature rises by that number, so the whole world will require up to 6.4 trillion USD per year, to alleviate the problem. Now, this number, this 6.4 trillion, most of the money will come from financial industries because, we give out loans, right? So if to solve this problem, so we see that the banking sector will be about 40% of the funds required to solve the problem. Now, looking at us at SCB, at our bank, we are Thailand's first bank, right? The oldest bank in Thailand, 116 years. So like from the very first day until way into the future. So our bank aims at sustainability because we are the oldest, right? Now, on this, as our bank view this issue in 3 areas. So number one, we have to develop ourselves first, that our bank can lessen the problem by ourselves. The second one is on helping our customers so that our customers can be more environmentally friendly. And last one is that we can help our society, our Thai society, that people must be able to access knowledge. What's something you can observe is our plans, right? We are very few organizations in Thailand that declared we are going to be net zero in 2030. This is very challenging because we declare our net zero before most of the country, and we say that we're going to do it. Now, okay, please allow me to explain, okay? It's actually simple, but it's dedicated. Now, for instance, we change all of our banks, from fluorescents to LEDs. We could reduce 15% of the. Now, as for the refrigerant, right? We change our refrigerant from R22 to R32, so that really reduced a lot of greenhouse gases. Also, all the vehicles that's in the activities of the bank, if we could change to EVs, that will help a lot. Now, another example is giving out loans to our customers. And the second thing that we measure ourselves is we want our customers and our partners, we want them to be net zero by 2050. So that means all loans given out to our customers, if our customers are not green, we will not provide loans. So that's very challenging. So it's like, okay, if you guys are not green, we are not going to do business with you. So we have to make sure this transition is as smooth as possible through loans. We actually have certain criteria for our loans. Okay, like in a few years from now, we're going to be giving like about 100 billion loan money. We also have other businesses. We are our customers, and some of them are not our customers. So we want them all to be aware and understand the risk of global warming and things they can do. Because okay, so that's very clear that 40% of the funds will be used in problem solving. It's going to come from financial institutions. So SCB itself, that emphasizes on sustainability, you're going to develop yourselves first, help the customers change the business to green, and help create awareness. So I really like that our customers must be green too. Now, okay, voluntarily changing to on this carbon market. this actually helps in the driving towards net zero. How can that happen? So what's one of the measures in Thailand?
So for the Federation of Thai Industries, to reduce global warming and entering net zero is very challenging but very important as well. We have been talking about these challenges. The most challenging is this regarding climate change, because it really affects everyone on the world. 8,000 million people on this world will be affected. The temperature rising would affect everyone, and it will be a disaster, a scary disaster for everyone. So for the Federation of Thai Industries, I think the regulations, the new regulations launched are talking about renewable energy, talking about sustainability and green economy. And lastly, it talks about reducing carbon dioxide emission. So the new rules and regulations for the world has binded the industry to adapt and change. Because from COP26 that we have that has been organized 2 years ago, our ex-prime minister declared his intention, or the country's intention, that in 2030 we will reduce the emission by 40%, and in 2050 we will be a neutral carbon, and then we'll become net zero. So since the ex-prime minister has declared that, the industry are talking whether it's necessary for us to change. Concrete has already mentioned that in 2050, if we don't do anything, the world economy will be affected about 18%, but in Thailand, it will be minus 44%. This means that we have to accept that Thailand really relies on exporting. 60% of our GDP is exporting, and our main customers is America, Europe, Japan, as well as China. So in these countries, they have changed their rules and regulations. They are focusing on reducing global warming, talking about net zero. And they're not just talking, they have come out with a lot of regulations like CBAM in EU, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or CBAM. And this means that all products that has been produced and release high carbon dioxide emission, creating greenhouse effect, that product will be fine. So in Thailand, since we export a lot of products, and we as the industry sector, we are very good in producing. We can produce cheap, we can produce to meet the quality, but we don't know whether we are creating how much carbon footprint. But now the rules has come out. Since the 1st of October, this is the start in 6 industries that emits a lot of emission, like cement industry, paper fiber, petrochemical. The 6 industry will have to submit a report, and then in 2 years' time, all factories and industries will have to submit this report. So we have to change. If we don't change, we will not be able to export our products. And this is the main reason why the Federation of Thai Industries have to speed ourselves and emphasize on these issues. As you can see, the new policy of ours, we call it one FTI. The circle that you can see, there's 4 pillars. The first one is industry collaboration. Second is first to next gen industry. 3 smart SME and 4 smart service platform. This is all based on the UN condition, or is the SDG in the middle of that circle where there are 17 SDG goals from United Nations. What we are trying to do is we have to focus on reducing carbon dioxide. The Federation of Thai Industry has established an institution called Climate Change Institute. This is to educate people in the industry sectors because they don't even realize the carbon footprint from their industry. And then after educate them, we have to create a platform, what we call FTIX. This is this is a platform to trade carbon credit. So you can see the 3 elements: the carbon credit, RE or renewable energy, and the last one is the certificate or the standards. This is the mechanisms that will be the center of the carbon credit trading in all industries. So we can offset the credits, the carbons, and then we can continue exporting our products. This is what the Federation of Thai Industries is doing. So as Mr. Green has mentioned that we rely on exporting and 60% of our GDP is from exporting. So sustainability and global warming, all these issues are pressuring the industry to change, because if they don't change, it's going to be very difficult to survive. So the Thai Federation of Thai Industries has launched this institute to help the industry sectors have access and understand the changes that is required. And the one thing that we cannot overlook is the modern and advanced technology. This will be the main factors who help us move forward to net zero. We will have to ask Mr. Grisida regarding all these technologies that would help reduce GHG. What are those technologies looking in the Thai context?
Thank you so much. Technology in reducing greenhouse gas, that's very broad. I'll scope it down into 4 groups. First one is implementation of AI and digital technologies. Second one is low carbon hydrogen. Third one, it's called the CCUS, the carbon capture, utilization and storage. And last one is there are new technologies where we can have negative emission. Okay, I'm going to talk these 4 topics. The first one is implementation of AI and digital technologies in helping organizations to achieve net zero. Right now, many organizations when when they use Microsoft Access and Excel to prepare on this actually you could use AI and digital much more than coming up with certain reports, like how much of emissions we have released. Other than measure, we could use AI and digital technology to analyze, find out the source of the greenhouse gas. How can we reduce this, and how efficient is the reduction? The third one is for planning of operations. When you have to operate the plans or business plans. So you could use AI and digital tech to measure, plan, and analyze all these information. Okay, second one is hydrogen. Many may wonder, what use hydrogen for? Okay, so actually in many businesses, they use hydrogen as a component in the production. So we actually right now we increase like what 4 to 5% every year increase in the demands for hydrogen. It keeps increasing a lot. And then what there are so many types of hydrogen. Actually, you see in the middle there, you see many colors there. Okay, I tell it easy on the right. You can see there the various colors on the hydrogen production, how much of emission is there, and the electric power used, is it traditional or renewable power? If you go to green hydrogen, that's we were able to produce hydrogen without emission and use renewable energy. And so that's for the green hydrogen. It's still small in our market right now. Actually, right now, green hydrogen is only about 4%. So when for companies where they've pledged net zero, we will have more green hydrogen in the market. There are two technologies for its production. One is electrolysis, and the other one is fuel cell. Yeah, electrolysis is more efficient. So many places are focusing on their, they're going to change from black hydrogen to green hydrogen. Now that's about hydrogen. And if there's any business that wants to use hydrogen and you have already pledged net zero, please consider green hydrogen. Okay, third technology is CCUS. It's a collective term. So like when companies when they manufacture something and releases carbon dioxide, releases carbon dioxide. We have certain technologies where we can capture all these carbon, and then we can store that away. If you keep it only, it's going to be CCS. But if you're going to use that carbon, it's going to be CCU. But if you have a certain businesses that uses both, it could be providing services to industry, so it's going to be CCUS. That's carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So in Thailand, people are very enthusiastic about this. Now, if you see the global CCUS market, this is something where many industries are interested in, because this is a proven technology, but the scale is not that big. Even for us here in our organization, we plan to store carbon dioxide in some of our pits. Let's go next. Many organizations have invested. Boston Consulting Group itself, they also invested, like Gates and Melinda funds, where they invested in technologies that reduces emission. There are so many technologies, like one like direct air capture, which just capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and store it elsewhere. So, and there are many of these technologies may not be at the commercialization scale, but these are technologies where a lot of organizations have invested in, and some could be released or launched from a short while from now. So there are these are some 3 or 4 things that I'd like to talk. So that will give you an understanding of the technology landscape, where you can use these to your organizations. Okay, so from Kun Isada stories, we see that these are certain very advanced technologies, whether AI, digitalization, CCUS, all these. It's actually very popular right now. So next it could be, from storage, make use, and then in the end we're going to go towards, negative emission technology. And so I think these 4 technologies will go big soon. Now, as for collaborations in various dimensions where we can help reduce greenhouse gases and to achieve net zero, let's come back to our Federation of Thai Industries. Okay, how you're going to push for the reduction of greenhouse gas?
So the private sector, the business sector and the government sector has been working together. If you ask me how can we have any kind of engagement, I would say there's so many aspects that we can work together. First of all, the government sector, we are the sector who launched the rules, the regulations, the standards, the incentive to facilitate the private sector in order to adapt themselves. And we have achieved up to a limit. But another aspect is the organization. So if it's the big organization or the businesses, if they do like the SCB, I think that would help reduce the energy consumption, the country's energy consumption, and consequently would reduce carbon emission. That is if we work together. I think it starts from within each organization. I have seen many organizations since we started the EV. Many brands of EV has coming in. So you can see that many organizations has shifts from normal cars to EV. The government sector has shifted to EV as well. For the government sector, it might be a bit slow because of the rental fee and everything that we have to wait. Like for me, we are happy, and a lot of the government sector are ready to wait, but all the bureaucratic documents that we have to wait. So all these engagements are the things that we can do together. One thing that I would like to emphasize, the private sector are focusing on the ESG business, which aligns with this direction of sustainability. But what I would like to ask for cooperation from the private sector is the part that they still, we can say that they're blind with that aspect, which is the SME, the agricultural sectors. They don't know how to move forward. The agricultural sector is the 7 to 8% of the GDP, but actually it covers 12 to 13 million people. So it is a very important sector that we need to help support them and change the agricultural practice. The private sector have technologies, they have ideas to help the agricultural sectors or the community levels, the SMEs. This is very important if the private sector can help, so that all the Thai people in different sectors can grow together. Like for example, the community forests. I understand that last year many private sector has did reforestation for CSR, but actually it's beyond CSR. We have to create the value from the community forest so that the community can benefit from it. So what we are doing now is working with Kubota company to utilize their technology for smart farming, reducing GHG emissions in the agricultural sector. This is what we are trying to do. And this is like a pioneer project, and if it works, then we will expand the initiative to other areas. This is what we can do. And I think that the private sector, they can proceed right away. They don't need to wait for the government sector because we all have to work together. So if the private sector finds that there's any part that there's barriers or obstacles, and you have those technology to disseminate, I think you should proceed. You can proceed without waiting. You can tell the government sector and even advise us. And also, the private sector, for the business sector, the service sector, I think they can help create awareness among the public so that the public will be aware of the significance of these issues. Creating awareness, I think the private sector can do it even better than the government sector. Sometimes when the government sector says anything, people don't actually listen. And when you create awareness, not only it helps to promote your brand, but it can help enhance the community as well. And I think this is something the private sector can do. And if you are faced with any obstacles or barrier, then you can inform the government sector. Many things we are ongoing, but we need collaboration from the private sector, and we are trying to help the community levels. This is what I would like to update you. So there are collaborations between the government sector and the private sector, and the government sector is coming out with policies to facilitate private sector. And the private sector have to start now, take action, and if you need help, then the private sector can ask help from government sector. So now we're coming back to SCB again. So if the business sector would like to get funding from SCB as sustainable finance, what do they have to do?
Okay. I say, yes, we say, okay, our bank, from the Secretary General has mentioned, we have to help our customers through the transition, and we have to help the society. So, okay, our plan, we have to think like how can we help our customers so that they can progress. So, like you asked, what's your target on sustainable loans? So we plan that in 2025, our target is 100 billion baht. Okay, another good news that actually reflects on the public's awareness and is that actually our customers are very aware in wanting to receive this loan. So 9 months. Okay, from the 100 billion target, we already gave out 52 billion baht already. Now, from our Secretary General has mentioned that within this 52 billion, who did we give the loans to? Okay, these loans go to large organizations, large corporations, as well as SMEs, small ones, and also individual customers. But anyhow, most of it's going to be large organizations. We try to look at from another view at the most of the, let's say, mainly the industries where we give out the loans. There are so many industries that want loans, want this sustainable loans, like EV cluster industry. This is because we have a lot of Chinese EVs here, and they want to expand the supply chain. So this sector alone was about about 10 billion, and then also businesses in renewable energy, we already gave about 10 billion. And just like Secretary General says, SMEs and individuals where they don't get easy loans, how can banks help more? So So when we actually have this, when we are actually moving towards this target where we say we are successful, we are actually thinking about how can we expand further. So one thing that we are trying to do right now is to work together with the FTI and of course, and ESDC and to provide knowledge and open opportunities to those who do not have access to funds. They can actually come to SCB and arrange certain courses where they can learn about accessing funds. One of the projects we already carried out, it's where we call it Mission X. So we got people in various business fields, where they don't feel that they are involved with sustainability. We want them to come together, and we arranged a course for them. And we get them ideas on sustainable financing, and this can result in a lot of organizations where they weren't aware. And this will actually be a response to the Secretary General. It's not that it's not not just thinking about myself. You have to think about others. So this will actually create a domino effect. So maybe people, where the banks may not be able to achieve access to them, but they will all learn. So anyhow, our bank, Siam Commercial Bank, is ready to bring about sustainable change. So if any of you are interested in getting loans on sustainability, you can contact any branch of our bank, and our call center will provide will provide recommendations. Okay. Yes, I agree. If we can help the customers, we're actually helping the society, and we will move forward with the sustainable loans. So that means people are aware that we already gave out 52 billion. That's a great sign. So that means a lot of businesses actually understand the importance of sustainability. Okay. Now, as for the private sector, you understand various you have various mechanisms, the carbon market as a goal. So let's see, does smaller people, SMEs, how can they be involved with all these mechanisms that can actually be a drive to all sectors?
This is also quite important. So for huge companies globally and even in Thailand, there's no problems because they have the money, they have the human resources, so they can do it fast. They can do it faster than the government sector even. But in every country we have SMEs. About 80% of the companies globally is SMEs, and also in Thailand, the Federation of Thai Industries, we have about 60,000 companies as our member. 80% are SME, and SME is the supply chain for the big company or corporate. So when we have to enter the new rules and regulations to move forward to net zero. For example, when we talked about EV, that's changing from cars that use fossil fuel to renewable or clean energy, what we call EV, and in future might be hydrogen. But even for the EV, we have to shift or change the entire system, because producing EV still require fossil fuel. We need to change the entire system. So in the supply chain as well, the supply chain mostly are SME, and SME still hasn't adapted or changed, but they are in the supply chain, so that would affect exporting. So when we change, we need to change the entire system, the entire loop. and we are facing the same problems. We are trying to educate the SME. They realize that they have to change, and if they don't change, they cannot survive and stay in the supply chain. But the question is, where will they get the money from? When we had APEC last year, when we host APEC, one of the topics in APEC was about climate change, and we talked about SMEs. Because SME doesn't have access to finance or funding. And actually, it's the developing country that creates the emission. But it's our country that are told that we cannot do anything. We have to change because we are the manufacturer. They are the consumers, so we have to change. So the big countries, developing countries, have to put together about 100,000 million for financing all the SMEs. Now looking back into Thailand, I would like to thank SCB because that gives us more hope, and the Bank of Thailand is doing taxonomy as well, so that is how they can have green finance. We still need a lot of funding. When we talk about net zero, that means that it has to be zero emission. We need new technology to capture those carbon dioxide, and investing in those equipments, changing the entire production process is very significant and very important. We can think we can do it, but without money we cannot do it anyway. So the Federation of Thai Industries, we have organizations or institutes to help to move the BCG models. This is one of our main policy. B is bioeconomy. We have started industries to use bio as their main materials. There will be 8 industries doing this. We call the smart agriculture industry. So as NESDC has already mentioned that we are an agriculture country, but that only contribute about 6 to 7% GDP, but it includes more than 10 million population. The more they work, they become poorer and poorer. And when we grow rice, we create carbon emission. And if we continue like this, we'll be banned. So we need to change the structure of the agricultural sectors. We have to make it a smart agricultural sector. And this project has been implemented in many provinces. We are trying to match with the medical industries. What kind of herb do they have to do? Or bioplastics have to come from sugarcane, and then we use the plastic to produce plastic pellet, and biofabric from plants, biochemical, biofuel, fuel that comes from the biomass. We have these 8 industries to start. This is what we have been working on. And then for the C is circular. Our federation has initiated many projects working with domestic organization and international organization as well. So what we do is we bring the waste and we recycle those waste to reduce waste, and that will create new industries. So that's quite a big initiative. And for the G stands for green economy. We have a certificate that we give to plants or factories that works for eco-factory and can work with the communities. We also have other initiatives as well. And we have an organization that help SMEs, whether it's the provincial supportive group, and we have what we call the SDO, Sustainable Development Group. We have the Digital and Innovation Group, Economic and Academic Development Group, and what we call TIPMSE institutes. This is, and we have WEIS. The third institute is the Climate Change Institute, which I already have mentioned. Number 4 is the Industry Energy Institute. Number 5 is the Industry for the Agricultural Sector. These organizations will help to facilitate the agricultural sectors to become more sustainable, to reduce their carbon emission. We are trying to educate them, try to make them understand. Actually, I have a lot of package and initiatives, but I cannot mention it all. Just want to emphasize that all initiatives, we need good funding. We need to be able to access funding. Mr. Grid has mentioned that he has the budget. I don't think his budget is enough. I think we need more than that. And maybe we need other banks to work as a pool, and that would help create a significant change. This is a mega trend. We cannot overlook, we have to do it, and we have to do it now. We cannot say that we will do it tomorrow. That's not possible. But in order to do that, big corporates has already moved, but for the SME, we need a support for them during the transition. So we have this institute, the Sustainable Development. And if you are interested, you can contact the Federation of Thai Industries, who are happy to give consultations, suggestions. Thank you very much. So this is helping the SMEs, helping the community businesses. It could be helping with the BCG models or green financing, and also all the institutes that the Federation of Thai Industries has established to help the agriculture sector adapt. So if anybody is interested, please contact the Federation of Thai Industry. So now back to Mr. Grisada. We have already heard about some technologies, but what is the main factors that would push forward the development of all these technologies?
Okay, first of all, if we want to go to the factors, we'll talk about the factors. Okay, when we say somebody is committed to net zero, so each organization has their own motivation. Something they say, okay, net zero as compliance, because they have to comply to certain standards or regulation or whatever. And second one is net zero as CSR. They do it because I'm a good citizen, so I volunteer to achieve the net zero. Or another one, net zero as competitive advantage. So what they think of, like, okay, how can they use that net zero as a tool to increase the competitiveness of the company? So now, if we say, if we say the motivation is only be a good citizen, just to meet compliance, that's okay, but the drive will not be, like that we can change it to competitive advantage. Okay, look at some large companies like Unilever or P&G. They have various requirements, right? They have certain minimum requirements, like they have how much has to be recycled materials, and these companies, they track their scope 3. Now, okay, if you are the source of manufacture, like plastic resins or the packaging, then of course there are certain requirements that you have to say. You have certain requirements, and like in asking, like what's the carbon footprint of this material. So Unilever, when they buy certain things, right, they have certain carbon footprint as scope 3 coming into them. Now, if you say the supply of these companies, now if they say if they could reduce carbon footprint and initiate, when they supply to these big companies, they will certainly become a preferred supplier. Now, if you ask me about the factor that will drive people towards net zero, so you have to ask how you got to make something like, make net zero as a competitive advantage. That was an example in supply chains. Now, another one is about the use of raw material. Now, there are various places, right? They talk about waste to energy, how we can burn the waste and create energy for their certain manufacturing instead of relying on coal or oil or fuel, petroleum. So the cost of the manufacturing. Okay, say like when coal is expensive, then of course their competitiveness will be less at that time. So I like to encourage each and every one of you that to achieve net zero. Okay, each of you have your own commitment, right? But how can you turn that commitment to competitive advantage? Now, if you can identify that, now there are various organizations, with the knowledge or policy from the public sector or from the financial sector. I think all the sectors here, what we are talking here, will be able to support. So it depends. All depends on you. You have to push and drive forward. How much you want to drive forward? Yes, I agree. That how can we use net zero as a tool, as a competitive strength, where that net zero can actually increase the value of our products, and if you're able to achieve that, that will be a drive where we can have better development. Now, the last question here, now that we know this climate change is an important issue right now, so how can we get other organizations to join in net zero? Okay, same questions for everyone.
จริงต้องเรียนอย่างนี้
This issue is not regarding one individuals or one organizations, but to achieve net zero, we all have to put our efforts in. We can help, starting from each individuals. If you change a bit of your lifestyle, change one's lifestyle to reduce energy consumptions, to reduce any kind of practice that would affect the environment or support products that are more environmental friendly. This also contributes to it. So once every individual do it, then we can expand to the family, to the community, to the organizations. I think we can all move forward together, and we will eventually achieve our goal. The only thing is we have to walk together hand in hand. It's like walking together sounds great, but we can actually do it. We can actually walk together, because many organizations are now walking hands in hand. So in terms of in the individual levels, I think we can also work together and move towards Thailand's goal, and to help sustain our environment so that the future generations will be able to appreciate the environment. So whether it's net zero or the environment, it's everybody. And now it's the only way out for the world. So we have to walk together, hold in hand. What about Mr. Grid?
Yes, I'd like to tell that
โลกเพียงใบเดียวครับดังนั้น net zero
we actually have only one world. It's not net zero is not a choice. It's the only survival tool that we have. So it's everyone in this world, in Thailand. I'd like to say that we should have some simple framework. That first of all, we must be aware that this is important. Okay, just like when we heard our president from FTI and the Secretary General. Okay, so some, some operations, it may seem small, but it actually affects global warming. So everyone must be able to be aware of this. So now once you're aware, you have to look at your activities and, measure, understand how much risk is that activity. Once it's measured, then you can develop it further. Okay, now that we may have the framework and you don't know where to go, please contact Siam Commercial Bank. We are ready to provide consultation, provide loans, provide knowledge that everyone can clearly see the same picture. Okay, this event today is the theme is it's generation sustainability, right? So I like to say, the important that we can bring awareness that it's you, right? If you are not aware, you won't join in this event. So make sure that make your voice heard, so everyone will become aware and help solve this problem. So I really believe that both private and public sectors can actually pass through this challenge. Okay, so whether how old you are, what profession you are, let's be all Gen S. Let's go to Kun Krinkai.
So, very much like everybody else just said, if the temperature change and rising more than what we are trying to control at 1.5 Celsius, after this, if the temperature keep rising and nobody takes any notice, apart from the GDP will be affected in 2050. That's just in terms of the economy. But what is more important is the natural disaster. There are so many signals that we can see. The nature is warning us. It's not just global warming. At the moment, it's global boiling. We are boiling. So if we don't do anything, things will change rapidly. And this will really impact humanitarian. But in terms of the industry sector, so for our federation, since the world rules and regulations has changed amid all these challenges and disaster, there are some good points to Thailand, because actually BCG in Thailand, we have a very rich biodiversity. So if we all work together and try to change our behavior, change our lifestyle together, and change the structure of the industry, I know it's difficult. I know it takes a lot of efforts, but we have to use this as an opportunity for Thailand, because the country is changing their production base. Many industries are moving. The industries of the future, industry of sustainability, we should be the center of those, and we should be able to attract and draw those good industries, not industries that only pay us and then leave us with all the pollutions. I think it's time for us to use this point, this critical point, to change our country to be the base of new industries. It's not just talking about my industries, but it's every industry, every sector, whether it's the tourism industry, how can we become a green tourism industry, or the aviation. So they said that any country aircraft that release carbon dioxide, they will be fined. So I think we have the biofuel, we can use biofuel to replace those fossil fuels. This is a good opportunity for us. So I want to emphasize that we all who would like to live in this world and maintain this beautiful world, we have to change this critical point to an opportunity for us, and we have great opportunities. Thank you. So we just have to be determined, and we can change those critical to opportunities.
As for me, I think that I understand that many organizations still feel that net zero is only environment stuff and still far from themselves. But seriously, okay, let's talk about natural disasters, right? We have low yield in agriculture because, like changes in temperature or maybe floods, drought, everything. These are problems in the future. And soon that will affect, domino effect into social problems. Okay, now say okay, you say you don't get the same yield, right? For the 12 million agriculturalists, financial problems, right? Kids don't go to school. That will result in social problems. Then is that going to be only problems for the poor? No, because nobody wants, nobody wants any of your children to be mugged by somebody, right? So this is not only environmental problem. It will actually link to social problems. It will link to other problems. Some of you think like, oh, it's only big companies or big countries, countries in Europe, because Thailand is only low emission. Oh, come on, these big companies, they release so much emissions. But no, that's not it. Because if you're not enthusiastic and if you don't play your part, then hey, come on, we are in the same world, right? We are affected together. So we have to be enthusiastic and commit ourselves, like from the MC has mentioned, right? Like, yeah, I like to say that all organizations within next year just commit net zero to a certain year, right? Give a number, but just commit, right? Have a target, and then, next year set certain roadmap, like, okay, year 1, year 2, 3, 4, what you're going to do. Otherwise you wouldn't know how much funding you will need to invest, what changes is going to happen. Now, number 3, there has to be measurements. If you don't measure, then you wouldn't know the result, right? Okay, so number 1, set target, develop roadmap, and measures. Take measurements. Yes, I agree. Yes, make sure that you have a clear target, set your goals, and then have a roadmap and measurements, so you will know, right? So then you can analyze your data, see how it all works out. Okay, so this is very beneficial for us all, and that's a goal towards net zero from our 4 executives here. And I believe that we learned a lot from these 4 speakers. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you, Kun Danusha, the Secretary General from the National Economic and Social Development, Kun Krit Jantanotop, Chief Executive Officer from Siam Commercial Bank, Kun Kring Krai Tian Nukun, Chairman of the Federation of Thai Industries, and Kun Isada Hiranviwat, Kun Managing Director and Senior Partner, Boston Consulting Group. Let's give them a big hand once again. Oh, wait. Let's take pictures on stage. I'm just on behalf of a small citizen and also a Gen S, right? This is very beneficial for me that I can expand on. And yes, now it has made me a conscious consumer. And now we will have lots of measures that will help various industries and organizations as to comply by. Okay, so before we take a small break, we like to we have this QR code, a survey, so this will actually help us develop our events better next time. So while you scan this QR code and answer the survey, we will get into the last session of today. It's the change now. Okay, then we can achieve net zero. And now, what us people in Gen S must do. We will learn on things we should do, and we can achieve it. And this change now, well, we will hear from 5 executives playing big roles in net zero from various perspectives. But we have the same goal, right? We want to be a low carbon Thailand. First of all, let's welcome Kun Ditsatat Panyarashun, CEO from PTT OR. Please welcome Kun Ditsatat Panyarashun. Let's welcome Mom Luang Ditspanatda Ditsakun, CEO from Mae Pha Luang Foundation. Let's welcome Mr. James Andrew Moore, CEO from Wave BCG. Let's Kun Cherry Kim Akson from the Little Big Green Project co-founder. Also, please welcome Mr. Rong Petbua Choi Di, Deputy Executive Director, Thailand Greenhouse Gas Management Organization. Let's give them all a big hand once again. Good afternoon, our distinguished guests here. Okay, so today let's learn more about how to change fuel to low carbon. Learn about low carbon agriculture, lifestyle change, understand how to drive forward to low carbon. Okay, let's go to the first question. I'm going to ask Kun Ditsatat this roadmap to low carbon. I'd like to know your aspirations and the challenges in this matter. Yes. Okay, first of all, I'm going to tell you about OR's vision, and that we actually have a very clear vision that's empowering all towards inclusive growth, right? And a little bit of action here. Okay. All right, let's say, let's grow together, right? And this is very meaningful, and this is a solution to environment and the community. I say that in action is because all of our OR people will have to work towards this goal, right? Secondly, when we say all, in our vision, we have to identify what do you mean actually by all. So in OR, we say our business is retail, right? We diversify ourselves from fuel or oil. So we know what's the threat in the future, right? We know we have EV, so we try to diversify out. But of course, when you do business, you have to aim at profit, right? But we have to consider our stakeholders, our important stakeholders, everyone here. Living community, the society, healthy environment, where the environment is good. We also economic prosperity. We have to live together and distribute our income so everyone can be strong. Now, when we say all these groups are our target, so we set our OR goals, right? And then we implement that goal in our three groups. Yeah, living community, healthy environment, and economic prosperity. So these are the goals where we view, and we focus a little more into healthy environment. So for us to achieve OR 2030, we have to set a roadmap, clear roadmap. So what we want to do is, we have to reduce the use. Okay, we are retailers, right? Whether Cafe Amazon or Texas Chicken or whatever, we have to reduce carbon waste, and we have to increase the use of clean energy in our ecosystem. Now, we also have to reduce the greenhouse gas. Another thing that we have to do work on about this green thing is we have to use environmentally friendly material. So when we say climate change, this is something we all realize it's a global problem, and at OR we certainly can't run business if we don't take care of the environment. So we have to adapt, and that will lead to look using our target, right, as the goal, focus on our target, and adapt that into strategies, and then we have to think about how can we integrate that into our target, right? So we broke it down in three sections here. Okay, first of all, we have to start with maintain, right? How can we maintain our current business as long as possible? Yes, we are selling fuel, right, oil, but how can we use all this clean energy in our organization? I'll explain that later, and explore various things like find green investments, green energy, and then innovate is create a certain ecosystem where it's more complete, most complete as possible. Okay, OR, we have certain goals. Okay, BCG has mentioned that companies have to set clear targets, clear goals, right? So we set here 2030 is our carbon neutrality year, and 2050 will be net zero. That's OR's roadmap. So all these components are just guidelines. So to achieve this, we have to set certain budget, right? So in our strategies, and where our board of directors places emphasis on, so we set about 8 billion baht as our budget. We support green environment or reduce of greenhouse gas. We don't find that as obstacles. These are opportunity because it integrates our business. That's about 15% of our investment budget. So that's the emphasis OR makes, and we have various other activities. So we set 8 billion baht, right? We have to set strategies, and we have to put that into business. So this is what you can see. How to reduce greenhouse gas. Right now, OR releases about 30,000 tons, so we have to cut it down 30% by 2030. And next is to absorb carbon. So we grow forests, and then we have to also build an ecosystem. So what you can see, OR, our OR gas stations, we use solar rooftops, so we use clean energy, and we also a leader together with the public, together with the government in setting up infrastructures for these EV chargers. We plan at 7,000 units throughout the country. Right now, we already achieved that in every provinces. Right now we have about 800 units. So in 2030 we'll have 7,000 connectors, and wherever you go soon, you will see OR everywhere, and we will be a leader in energy. So whether if it's fossil fuel like gasoline or new energy, but whatever, we have to consider cut down the use of fossil fuel, make sure it's more clean, and then we have to also consider the waste reduction, where cut down the waste by cut it down to 4,500 tons. Okay, so first of all, that's about your goal setting, right? In 2030, that's community, environment, economic is prosperity. So you reduce waste, use clean energy, cut down on the use of GHG, use environmentally friendly material, and we have through various projects. Now, as for Mae Fa Luang Foundation, please allow me to ask Mom Luang this Panadda, right, on make people living together, with the forest, from users to people who protect the forest.
So for our working operation, we have been working on deforestation for quite a long time. First of all, we trying to solve the problems between the conflict between the forest and the people who plant opium, and they want to change them to do planting trees instead. We try to improve the quality of life of the people by the area-based approach. In these 35 years, we have changed a lot. This is the picture showing 1988 hill, and at present how we have improved the environment. And actually, forest is at the heart of any transition. Doi Tung Foundation is looking after about 90,000 rai, and also looking after another 17,000 rai in the neighborhood provinces, and we are now working in 9 provinces as well, about 200,000 rai. This is all because we have the experience. Our goal is to improve the quality of life of the people. We are trying to change the strategy of doing the shifting farming to do a long-term plantation like macadamia, coffee plantation that can produce a lot of products in the forest. So we try to emphasize product process because we know that we have limited space, so we have to find how we can increase the value of the products, and this is why we have produced the macadamia products and coffee products. During the 6 to 7 years, we have foreseen the changes, the climate changes, and the impact are more clear. This graph shows that the green line is how we use the environment. So in 1973, the red line has gradually increased. That means that we are not replacing, or we're not using adequate environment to replace. So what we are doing, actually, we're using the environment of our future generations. So it has come to a point where we have to realize that we have to change our behavior. Sometimes we have this wording, if people are hungry, the forest change. The forest hasn't changed because of the natural disasters. The forest has disappeared because people are hungry and they go in to try to profit from those forests. So how can we change from people are hungry and the forest disappear to people can survive and the forest can be sustainable. So this is what we are trying to do. And actually the people in the community, they are ready to look after the forest, but they lack fund, they lack the method to prevent forest fire. Now that we have the act and we can commoditize by gaining profit or gaining income from maintaining the forest, that will be a good solution. So they will gain income equivalent to if they do shifting farming. The concept is whether we are planting or conserving forest. We choose to conserve because we feel that if we want to conserve the forest, then we can protect the biodiversity. We lose biodiversity because we cut the trees from the mountains. When we want to reforestation, it takes more than 50 years to bring back all the biodiversity. So to protect biodiversity is to help protect the environment for the future generation. That is what inspired me to do all these projects. And we have received positive feedback from the private sectors. This year, we are doing community forest on about 150,000 rai of forest, and we would like to share the stories to all organizations who are interested, and they can join us. Thank you very much. So now we understand the starting point and the goal of Mae Pha Luang Foundation, which aims to improve the quality of life. So we've seen that they have a lot of initiatives, but what has really inspired them is the climate change. So what they want to do is people can survive and the forest can be sustainable, and we have to all help. So from forest community, we will come back to something a bit more nearer to us is rice plantation, but it's a low carbon rice plantation. We have to ask, how do we do that? What is the start and what is the challenges? And Mr. James can speak Thai, so yes, please do.
Okay, Wave BCG is a comprehensive climate solution company where we try to, cut down on GHG, on greenhouse gas. So one thing that we emphasize on is on AWD. This is a long-time concept from International Research for Rice Institute. So this is a way where we, grow rice with less water. Normally, right? Not normally, rice is soaked in water. So this rice is semi-aquatic, right? It doesn't mean it has to be submerged all the time. It's not something that has to stay in water, because if you let it stay in water for too long, it's going to rot, and that will release methane, and that's about 28 times of carbon. So, okay, now what we do is we will let the 14 days of water and dry 14 days. We'll do like about twice, and that can cut down half of the methane. So that really affects global greenhouse gas. Now, why is it that we emphasize on rice? Okay, Thailand is not. Thailand is much affected, right, from climate change. Why is it we are affected? Because 70% of GDP from our country is in Bangkok and in the EC now. So if if seawater rises, it will affect Thailand. Another one is Thailand is a agricultural country. From El Nino, La Nina, all this drought, floods, all these will affect our agricultural yield. Also, you will also this here, as you can see here, climate tracker, where we analyze the policies and the situations. Now Thailand is in tier 3, where we plan, right, 1.5 to 2 something Celsius, right? That should be about 3 degrees Celsius. And to achieve this goal, we have to reduce greenhouse gas not more than 200 carbon tons per year. But we still have, greenhouse gas in the agricultural sector. Now, if you look at Thailand, we release about 370 million tons per year. Number one from the energy, and then second one is the agriculture. And 50% from the agricultural sector comes from rice fields. And why is it interesting about rice? Okay, number one, Thailand is the second largest rice exporter. We have millions of 4.7 households, rice cultivation. We have 56 million rai that grows rice, right? So if we work on all these properly, we can cut down about half of the greenhouse gas. Now, if we carry out this AWD technique, that means this will cut down on about 20% of the cost, can cut down 60 to 80% use of water. And interestingly, this AWD will increase yield about 10%. So, when you dry the field, it's like it fasted, and when water comes in, it absorbs more. And this can also help in increase income to increase income for farmers. And we also have this low carbon rice. And in India, right, they are the leader in AWD, and they can actually sell at a premium price. And this project achieves a lot on SDG, on climate change, food security, community development. These are something we are really interested in. Anyhow, there are challenges. One is changing their behavior. This is very challenging. Some things that they've been doing like 20-ish years, 30 years, it's hard to change their behavior. For them to leave the fields dry, when they see it's cracking, then they'll get the water back in, and then you have to educate them. That's also very challenging. Also, the farmers, they have lots and lots of debt. So for them to use this method, we have to use rice that takes 120 days or more, but they want to use rice that yields in less than 100 days. So anyhow, all these funding are very challenging. But anyhow, this project is something we are really interested. Oh, this is actually very nice. Yeah, now we learn about this low carbon agricultural. And Thailand is second largest rice grower, and that we release a lot of carbon dioxide. So that means this low carbon rice growing is one way of achieving net zero. And other than net zero, you cut on the use of water, cut cost, and higher yield. This is very beneficial. Okay, let's go to Kun Sheri, as a co-founder of Little Big Green. How do you change the behavior and promote the proper use of resources? This is something that you already achieved. Can you give us some ideas? Actually, I know. I learned that Kun Sheri, you unplug and you carry water bottles. Yes.
Thank you, and hello to all. And hello to all the speakers on the stage. So I would talk about greenhouse gas emission, and there's a lot of sectors that release or emit this carbon, but I want to talk about 5 topics. It's about energy, transportation, agriculture, industry, and waste. In these 5 aspects, for the first, so for the people, like you're talking about the energy, so we consume a lot of energy. Actually, we use more than we should. Anything that we can save in these 5 aspects, I think we should do. So the main thing is do whatever we can to increase the efficiency. Like energy, we need it. We cannot avoid using energy or electricity, but how can we make it most efficient? Like for air condition. So for me, I will not use very low temperature. Sometimes I might turn off the aircon, turn on the fan. Sorry. We try to manage, or I try to manage, to use the resources as efficient as possible and to try to reduce the carbon emission. Second aspect, transportation, we have to plan our routings, use public transportation as much as we can, walk if we can. And the third aspect is about agriculturing. This is what I would like to focus on. The agricultural sector is actually cause a lot of GHG emissions. And we are an agriculturing country. So a lot of people probably talking about doing organic farming or AWD. That might help reduce the methane or reduce chemicals like chemical fertilizers that might leak into the water resource. But I would like to talk about the regenerative agriculture or responsible farming. This kind of farming is, I think this is really suitable. This is a model that I believe would be able to apply in many other industries. For example, I work in a company called Siri Thai. We buy rice from Sakon Nakhon agriculturists. And in Sakon Nakhon, they grow rice only one time a year, since their landscape is suitable only for one time a year. And they will have not enough water. So they only grow during the season where there's heavy rain, and they choose the rice that is suitable for the climate. And it has to be grown considering the landscape of each area. If it's high, hills and doesn't have a lot of water, they have to choose the right species of rice. And the rice would be delivering unique produce. Rice that are grown up on the hills have very strong fragrance. And around the rice paddy, it will be a forest. The forest that's surrounding the rice paddy, the forest would absorb all the water, and then the water from the forest would slowly go into the rice paddy. So we don't even need any fertilization or even organic compost, because the nutrients from the forest water will slowly come down into the rice paddy, and then the water from the rice paddy will gradually flow into the river stream. I think this is a model of agriculture using local wisdom and local area-based solution. And once you look after the area around the rice paddy, it helps with the ecosystem, increase biodiversity, and the forest also capture carbon emission as well. So this is what I would like to create awareness and tell them about this model of plantation. And it's not just with rice, you can apply it to other produce as well. And the other two aspects is the industries. We cannot deny that we consume products from industries. And many times we use those products not efficiently. We haven't even finished and we haven't even completed its life cycle, but we throw it away. So we have to find a solution how we can use those products most efficiently. And lastly, that's about waste. If we have a good management from the source, how we can reduce the waste, how can we use everything most efficiently, and also segregate all the waste, organic waste. And also I would like to emphasize that if you separate the organic waste from dry waste and recycling waste, then the recyclable waste will be more valuable. This is a very good point of view from just one individual. Kun Terry has emphasized that we have to use efficient energy, try to reduce CO2, and the model of agriculturing, and we have to use products up to its life cycle, and especially about waste management. These are all the things that anybody can do. So now asking Kun Nongphet, changing behavior can reduce GHG emission if we understand the impact of our daily life activities. So do you have any ways to support and create awareness so that people will understand how they can reduce emission from their daily activities?
แขกผู้มีเกียรติ
Yes, good afternoon, distinguished guests and all the speakers and that's with us here together, our panelists. So I wish to thank GC that has invited TGO to to talk about us leading to low carbon society to achieve the net zero goal. So first of all, okay, there are two things: net zero and carbon neutral. Sounds similar. Okay, net zero is not just it's not just reducing greenhouse gas by ourselves, and we have to use we have to reforest to actually absorb carbon, right? And we use this CCUS technology. At the same time, carbon neutral or carbon neutrality, not just reducing, but the offset itself, you could use credit, all types of credit, or maybe from from using renewable energy, from waste management, cut down methane, all that kind of thing. So the difference is net zero. We have to use things that we say carbon removal credits, but carbon neutral, you could use carbon reduction or renewal. Now, as for the TGO, what tools do we have to help you all to set your goals, to achieve how you can achieve net zero? First of all is organization carbon footprint. This just like say, okay, OR, how much OR releases greenhouse gases, so we could calculate that. Another one is arrangement of events like here. We see here, right? The use of electricity in this hall, how much of greenhouse gas, and then we could buy carbon credit, or all this could be calculated. So like say in Thailand, we call it T-World. Now, not other than organization footprint, organization product carbon footprint. Okay, like say Kun Panadda said, you're going to have like a carbon neutral coffee, right? This is something that other than we show the society that not just determined with cutting down this greenhouse gas, Okay, in reality, it's impossible. You can't have zero, right? But when we talk about net zero, not me. Okay, the sector that releases a lot of greenhouse gas is the food sector, because it releases a lot because people are actually we're having more like last year. Yeah, we already have 8 billion people in the world. So that means people are growing. We have more and more. So that means, this greenhouse gas from food increases. Okay, now let's talk to Kun James. Now, Kun James says we are more efficient in the release of this emission of greenhouse gas. Now, FAO says that the food sector aims at resilience and adaptation, not more than just mitigation. So what James is doing is already at the mitigation. Now, carbon label, from TGO, some things that you see here, all these circular economy footprint, all this thing. The latest one that we want to come up with this label, net zero label. I understand that. Okay, OR is OR the sponsor of MotoGP Thailand? I'm not sure. So you can actually offset that. Like Formula One, say they will achieve net zero where they can use carbon offset. So all these events will lead to low carbon society, individually too. At individual level, we have tools that each of you, how much of emission you release, right? Myself, I release about 4 tons. On average, for a Thai person, it's about 5 tons. So you could buy that and offset it. Okay, carbon neutral event like the APEC last year. We used carbon offset from the EGAT. We also link to the FTIX. You could buy carbon credit to offset. So initially for myself, this is it. So TGO has a lot of tools to bring knowledge and present various policies, like you understand the various terms, processes, like carbon footprint, support of carbon-free events like carbon neutral exhibition, carbon credit, all these terms. So these are something that everyone should learn more and understand more. Okay, now. Okay, we talk about the factors of success factors. I would like to ask on this Satat once again on for OR, like, do you have any you support low carbon travel who are involved in all these ideas in the future, so you can expand it into broader. Yeah, okay, we said OR has clear goal that in 2030, right? One of our goals is healthy environment. So this is something we are very clear about. But to achieve this, to succeed this carbon neutrality or net zero, we have stakeholders, right? So we have to set all the strategy at the portfolio level. The way we strategize is we set up infrastructures. Okay, let's face this. PTT group, everyone will be in the ecosystem of clean energy. So we break down our roles. We have OR, we have we work in the fields that we're in, right? So when we set up certain infrastructures like EV charging stations or solar rooftops, we are actually very clear, like like I mentioned before, that we are ready to support the government's policy in setting up infrastructures that people can access. The government is supporting the use of EVs. Moreover, we also support various products, that we use in our ecosystem, like say our cafe Amazon, all right. We emphasize on environmentally friendly material, like GC is a leader in environment, so we partner with them, right? So all the cups, the plastic, and then we have this various like U-turn projects where they collect these material and sort of like reuse it and turn that into clothing and to tables, chairs, and use material that's environmentally friendly, and we could use it for various uses. You can see all that in our ecosystem. Secondly, it's about stakeholder level. So when we have to take care of the environment, you can't do it all alone. So it has to be the policy at the national level. So, and that's certainly the government's duty to come up with policies. As for OR, I'm proud. I think all of us in OR are proud that in our business, we have our coffee business. So one thing that we could return to society upstream is we promote coffee growers. We go to Majam. That's like somewhere on that hill. Yeah, it was the forest was burned, and we learned. We learned that they were taken advantage of the middleman, right? Sometimes so they couldn't they couldn't get money, right? So later on they grow up like maize and all that. But okay, now OR gets into provided knowledge and make sure that their income is secure, right? And we buy coffee seeds from them at good prices, and of course we also promote we support the royal projects too. Now, what you see OR business, right? We have 4,000 Cafe Amazon, right? These are not all of these are not our model. Most of it are partnerships. So when we talk about stakeholders, we have to, we have to support our partners that you guys have to adapt to. Okay, you got a franchise, and if you guys don't change to what we need, what we want, of course there are going to be certain penalties. So Thailand is moving that way because everything is cost, right? Yeah, certainly it's all cost, so they don't want to change. But anyhow, they have to understand that, and obviously employees must have this this corporate culture that they have to care for the environment. Now in our ecosystem, lastly, if we don't set samples, we're actually having a flagship thing like in our stations. It's in Vipavadi 62 that will open around start of December. This is a very green flagship. We have to set samples, right? We have to set business models so our partners can see, so they can build upon, get good products from places. Because OR, we have a lot of infrastructures, right? We have PT station over 2,400. We have also Cafe Amazon. And so we have to take care of our communities. We want people to love us. So we actually distribute income where where we do our businesses. And from the views I'm talking about here, this is like a PT station for the future. This will be a sample, a green station for Thailand. So if you go there in December, we can actually measure the CO2 your car releases. So we will actually measure the emission of CO2. So we can actually get the offsets. Usually we say carbon neutrality 2030, but without measurements, no, that wouldn't work. So we actually will do this and calculate in our ecosystem what's the emission like. So we'll try to offset that, like solar rooftop, and our partnership is GPSC. It's the energy storage manufacturer. So this is only prototype. It's not commercialized yet. I get them. So we want to use clean energy 24 hours in our stations. So these are some of our samples. So you can see now the success factors where to achieve the 2030 goal is a healthy environment where we will develop the portfolio, the stakeholders, as well as the ecosystem. Like at the ecosystem level, what you can actually see is you can go to Green Station before the 62. You're going to open when? It's actually already open, but will officially open in December. Okay, so we can. Okay, let's go to Mom Luang Dit Panatta. The success factors where community can live together with the forest and who are important in the support of this concept.
I think when we work in the community forest, there's three aspects here. There's the private sector, community, and Mae Pha Luang Foundation that we have to work together. The private sector would be regarding the funding, and in return they would get carbon credit. And for the community, they are the person who actually, they're the four frontliners working in the community forest, ensuring that there is actually conservation in the area, and then the foundation will be doing the project proposal planning, encouraging or incorporating third parties. The principle, our operational principle, is we have applied the best practice from our 30-year experience. The core of our principle is we show them how to do it. We do it with them. And then the community will get the knowledge, and then they can expand those knowledge. So this picture is surveying the forest and tagging and putting recording of all the trees in the forests. We are very detailed and ensure transparency. So satellite information, patrolling, collecting GIS to do all the recording will help us be able to evaluate each location, and then we use satellite imagery to monitor fire forests. And this information we can use to talk to the community. So the process we're doing is trying to raise awareness of the people in the community and happy to work with us to solve all the problems. And we also have incentive. One of the most successful factor is that the community will have to get enough or equivalent income to when they do shifting farming, which is 50 baht per rai. That is our main goal. What does that mean? That means that the carbon credit the private sector have to support is quite high. That will have to be about 1,000 per 1 ton of carbon. But this money will go directly to the people in the community. So that's the incentive that would draw all the community. And if the community calculate and they think that it's cheaper than them supporting another initiative, then they'll come back and support us again. So we need this incentive. for the people that if there's no forest fire, then they'll get the income. So when they have this incentive, the people in the community really work hard to ensure that their community forest is protected. And we managed to reduce fire forests. And this is how we do the risk mitigation as well. And the private sector will be ensured that this community forest has good forest fire management. And for the transparency, we make sure there are transparency in each funding. All the funding that has been given will be allocated to the actual activities. And people who are interested in doing the CSR can give them more encouragements. I think this is a win-win project. The community people gain, the private sector gain, the environmental also gain. So I think it's something that we can integrate into the ESG as well. So that we have the risk mitigation in this. And now there's this word called greenwashing, which a lot of people is questioning. What do the people really gain from greenwashing? Is it just the benefit of the private sector? So I now can try to explain to them that greenwashing, everybody benefits, even the community benefits. And once people experience our project, then they will tell the story of how it is successful. And it can conserve the nature for the younger generation and the future generation. So this shows that we need collaboration from the private sector, from the foundation, as well as the community. And it's a collaboration that is a win-win collaboration. And most importantly, we have to all work and conserve the environment for the future generation. Now, for Mr. James, I would like you to tell us how it has changed when you shift to this AWD rice plantation.
จริงๆผม
Actually, I like the collaboration triangle from Mae Fa Luang. This is something. It's also a factor of us, a success factor for us too, similar to Kun Sheri. There are for us a success. There are four things. Like first of all is collaboration. Yeah. Second one is alignment, and then we have capacity building, and then of course incentive to actually drive this to success. Well, as for collaboration, you have to when we for this type of project, you have got to have collaboration from various sectors, like from us. You have to collaborate between the government, the private sector, to join this to, reduce their own footprint, and also, and of course, we have audits too, to solve this green washing, all this. So collaboration to make this possible and to scale it to success is very important. Then, of course, we have next one is alignment, because Thailand right now, we are like the leader in Southeast Asia in alignment, and this is clear that Thailand places a lot of importance in climate change. Now, as for alignment, Thailand has a very clear policy. Secondly, we have like this climate change department to align, to steer, and to provide policies. So to make this possible, various departments have to come together and align in the same direction. Whether the rice department, agricultural departments, all these departments must align together. I believe that we can actually scale this up further. Then we have the capacity building. When we started this project, right, a lot of farmers didn't believe this because it's like, they've been growing this for ages, and who are these guys, right? But to actually upskill these these farmers, it's very important. So we actually have to, work together with the provinces. So we had to set up knowledge building centers. Another one is something that we have to solve is funding. Fundings. We have green financing to actually make this more possible. So this is one of the key success factor, because if you want to scale up 60 million, right, that's not small. And then of course you got to have incentive. So for farmers to change from traditional farming to AWD, there has to be incentives, right? There could be like a revenue sharing, something that we support them, with AWD. Another one is incentive in low carbon products, like TGO itself. You push forward to low carbon products, like you see like in India when they do. With AWD, they can actually sell premium price rice with low carbon. So we actually have to add value to our crops here. So I think these 4 factors are the things that led to the success. Okay, so that means there are factors that allow us to achieve, right? So collaboration, alignment, because we actually have clear policies, upskill, knowledge building, funding, incentives, all these low carbon products. These are important factors that will allow us to achieve net zero. Okay, let me go next to Kun Sherry. You told us about success factors in lifestyle change.
So I'm the public sector, but we have to admit that we need collaboration from every sectors. So government sector, private sector play an important role as well. Government sector are the policymaker, and they have to come out with laws and regulations so that we can achieve carbon neutral or net zero. We need a clear action plan so that all sectors can move in the same direction. We have to build a concrete plan so that we can achieve the goal that we have set. And I don't want anybody to think that solving environment is different or it's a different topic, because actually I think equality, poverty, they are all linked and they're all very significant, and it will really help solve the environment issues and also promote sustainability. How can we get everybody to receive equal opportunities and equal access to infrastructure, natural resources, and safe livelihood? I think this is also would help solve a lot of environmental and create sustainability. The government sector will also need to have tools in terms of financial, like Kun James have just mentioned about green bond or sustainability linked bond. We need those reliable bonds. It's not just greenwashing from one organization. So this, I hope that we would have more of that. In terms of the private sector, I think if you are very sincere in helping to solve the problem and build trust to the consumers, I really believe that the private sector can play a very important role to take the market into the right direction, forwarding everybody to the goal that we have set together. So I think this might be help, and we have to listen to the consumers as well. Because the consumers who are the environmental consumers, they may be still a very small group, and we need you to hear their voice from the public sector. And as for the public sector, like me, We just have to be responsible in our duties and very sincere at helping solving all the issues. So for small businesses, I consider that in the public sector, it's not easy to operate a small business to be environmental friendly. I think we need to be sincere, we need to be serious, we need to be persistent, and we have to have hope. Even though the problems look so big, but if we don't start from the first step, we will never be able to reach, and we will never find the right timing for the start. And I don't think we should just focus on ourselves, but we have to look in a broader view, thinking of for the society, for the public, and this includes the private sector as well. We have to consider the environment. So like for the public sector, at the moment we're just looking at our costs actually also depend on the environment. For example, breathing. We need good air. We need clean water. These are all security, food security. I think we all deserve, this is our basic rights that we should receive. So we have to put into consideration all these environmental aspects as well. And then once we put that into consideration, we will understand that we are not just working and trying to get more money and receive all the facilities from the government sector, but actually we have our duty as a citizen of this world. Because this is a disaster that we are facing. This is not about the future. We know and realize and are facing with all these natural disasters, and it's getting more severe, more frequent. The security of our livelihood is reducing. So I think it is all our duty that we have to take responsibility. So from listening, I think that the main thing is success needs collaboration, needs cooperation. Nobody can get success individually, whether it's the policy planning, the behaviors. Like Kun Cherry just talking about resolving sustainability, you need equality as well. You need to get access to education as well. It might not be easy, but it's not possible. So I would like to help and encourage small businesses that you can actually do it as well. So for Mr. Rongpet, what do you think is the main factors to push the public sector to realize the impact of the GHG emission so that we can shift to a low carbon society?
We should have my slides, right? Okay. Please allow me to present the concept on how we can drive forward a low carbon society. Okay, carbon pricing, making carbon valuable. Okay, so let's make carbon emission as a cost in their everyday lives. So when you view carbon emission as cost, so that means it's got to be benefit, right? If we achieve that, then we can achieve carbon neutral society or low carbon society. I say this, it's not that we have to increase the price of carbon credit. Right now pricing is like we view at carbon credit like $5 a ton, or could reach up to $75. But IBEC scientists, from the view of scientists, we call it carbon pricing is social cost of carbon. So it's the cost and damage, the impact of of climate change that has already gone beyond 1.5 Celsius, and science, we look at the damage and also view at the changes in biodiversity, which is priceless. So I think scientists have already calculated that the year 2100, it's going to be about 400 USD for the cost of carbon. That has not adjusted for discount rate. So if we cannot control the climate, right now it's already 1.2 Celsius, right? As for the everyday lives, okay, when you view the price of carbon, that means, okay, if we generate power from fossil fuel, it's going to be higher renewable energy. Okay, I think we should not ask, which house does not install solar cells. Even my house, I have that. My mom installed that. So I think all these low carbon tech is more accessible to everyday lives. The driving force is the price. And okay, let's see in the next slide here. Okay, and you view carbon emission as cost. So consumption and manufacture, you have to look back upstream. So when we manage this greenhouse gases, for sustainable management, you have to look at it as a whole supply chain. Just now, Kun Grian Kai say, aircraft have to use biojet fuel, but that's actually beyond that. Biojet fuel alone is not enough. You have to prove that it's sustainable. That you have that the plant used for that biojet fuel must not destroy the forest. Must not cut down the soil carbon sequestration. So Thailand plans to be a biorefinery hub in the BCG model. So this strategy, BCG model, we have to prepare. So we have to prepare our database, because that will actually dictates on our agricultural zoning, because everything will actually come back to us consumers, especially with carbon pricing. Now, if you follow the carbon border adjustments, that's only in EU, and then USA, we also do the CBAM. They're going to call the Tree Competition Act. So I think in everywhere, whether a free trade area or not, or any commercial thing, or if you want to have all this non-tariff barrier by the WTO, it's going to be barrier using climate action, green businesses or whatever. Now, if you want to achieve a low carbon society, we have to go green, and we have to grow economically by reducing the destruction of the environment. Okay, if it's hard to control, that means if you release carbon, then the prices you have to pay. So that's one way to cut down the emission of greenhouse gases. So that means everyone has to pay. So we all have to build the low carbon society. So lastly, I wish to say that each and every one of us here can help. Somehow we cut down our greenhouse gas. Okay, this event was by GC and our PTT group, with from upstream, midstream, downstream. We place emphasis. I mean, we have strategies in each of our companies here. Okay, OR is our customer gateway. We get in touch with people, so we are committed that we actually accelerate the efficiency of our workings and use clean energy, use more clean energy, and the activities that we do, whether we sell like Okay, like okay, say Texas chicken, right? Here we have used oil, right? So we actually value add to that, like Cafe Amazon, we use recycle and all that. So, in the views of the PTT group and OR, we believe that we can take care of the community and not just the environment. So, you can be confident, right, that OR is doing its best in building green society, and each and everyone can do it by just changing your lifestyle.
Can I be a bit? Can I choose a rude word? I just, firstly, I feel that we have to understand and admit that this is reality. This shit is real. Because the climate change is actually happening and it will impact all of us. That's the first thing that I think everybody has to understand and admit. Secondly, we have to walk the talk. So we cannot just keep talking. I don't think that it's not possible to do. And don't say that this is not my business. I think this is very important because we want to change something. And when we need to change something, education, to understand what we are going to change is very important. If we don't understand, if we don't really know the topic, we cannot tackle the right pain point. Like reducing the straw would help save the world. I mean, that's not just it. There's many other things. Don't use single plastic bags. That's also included. And another thing is, the third one is we have to act now, start now. Whether we can do a little more or a lot, we still have to do it. Don't wait until tomorrow. We have to start now and continue doing it non-stop. Today, what everybody needs to realize now, inconvenience is necessary. So even it's not convenient, but it is necessary if we want to make changes. And we have to admit, and we still have to do it. I think we need to support companies, organizations, private sectors, and even foundations that are working towards sustainability, promote their products. And lastly, I would like to ask all of you, or say that sustainability is like Buddhism. When we make merit, you don't get return right away. People who do bad things might get something good, so nobody wants to do good deed, but actually to build sustainability is like making merit. We gradually accumulate them. We don't gain the return right now, but it's our future generation who gain benefit. Thank you very much. So we have to be in reality world. We have to realize that this is a big issue and we have to understand and do it now. So I think that...
Okay. So I think this is something we should have done yesterday. And there are researchers from UN that says if you don't really do it fast, in 6-7 years from now, it's going to be a point of no return. And it all starts from each of us. And this is something that will actually occur, that can happen, top down and bottom up, from the country policy and from us to move upward, and then we'll meet somewhere in the middle and win. Now, if you look from bottom up, like say from farmers, that's going to be like win-win-win situation if you can do it well. Now, as for the agriculturalists themselves, they can change the way they grow their rice, right? Change, cut down on greenhouse gas emission, have higher price, have more valuable products as it's low carbon. They're more knowledgeable. So when farmers can cut down GHG, it's going to affect organizations. Now, if you look in the stock exchange, the like more like 50% in the set 100. So the supply chain from various organizations, they are agriculturalists. So if they can cut down this, they will cut down the scope. So that's going to create competitive capability. They may not be carbon taxed. They can compete in the world platform, and that allow the country to achieve the goal set, and our world will achieve its goal. So it's all win-win-win situation if we can do this well and succeed. Okay, so we have to work together so that we can achieve the win-win-win situation. Kun Sherry, please.
There's no long distance journey that would start without the first step. There's no changes that can happen in overnight. A process of transition is never easy. It takes time. You can't just sleep and wake up to a new change. Every time that I have to meet any changes or face with any changes, we have to admit that it's not easy, but we have to think of it as a challenge. And if we go with it, it will excite us and stimulate us to learn more about the transition. For me, I'm not always like this. I have changed my behavior. It took me 8 years before I come to this point here, but it's a gradual change from being so difficult, like Kundit Panada just mentioned, that it's inconvenient because everything that happens and affecting us negatively, all these things provide convenience to us. So to do it on the opposite side would create inconvenience, but it's necessary to do, and we have to do and take responsible of our duty, whether you're the government sector, public sector and private sector. You just do and responsible with your duty. Lastly, no changes can happen from one individual person. We need collaboration and cooperation from every sector and to push forward and make that changes, and this is very significant. Thank you. So any changes can happen from the first step, but we all have to take that first step.
And last person here, I have nothing else to say. You guys took everything. Okay, let's view it this way. Climate change is not an obstacle. It's an opportunity for us to adapt. If you can adapt quickly, adapt first, you'll survive. So it begins from mitigation and then mitigation. Yeah. But your lifestyle, your everyday life, we have to instill knowledge and awareness to the youth, because they will grow into the future workforce. Some of the gurus I talk to, they just joke around. They say, all these gurus will say, we're going to pass on a green world to our children. But they say, no, no. Because I believe in the next life, I'm going to have the green world for myself. But anyhow, I'm the last one here, nothing else to say. Okay, let's view all the problems as opportunities. So when, action and know how to change, we can achieve success and move towards our net zero goal. So I wish to thank all of our 5 speakers to have shared ideas, experiences. So let's give them all a big hand once again. Thank you very much. Please, 5 of you, please remain on stage for a photo session. I wish to thank Kun Disapat Panyarachun. I wish to thank Mom Luang Ditpanadda from Mefa Luang Foundation. Kun James Andrew Moore from Wave BCG. Kun Sherry Kem Akson from our Little Big Green project co-founder. And Kun Rongpet from TGO. As for the 3 sessions this afternoon, are so intense, and you learn that how you can really do it in real life. And after all, it's all collaboration. It's not just an organization. It's each and every one of you whatever your age, whatever your profession, we are all the same Gen S, generation sustainability. Let's create a new wave where we can make the world better for everyone. Thank you once again. And before we end today, I would please do a little survey from the QR code here. This will allow us to improve our events in the future. Tomorrow, GC Living Symposium will be around, it starts from 9 to 5, and I'm done here for today. So see you once again. Goodbye, good evening, good evening.